than south.
Okay.
Citizens Bank in Philadelphia is
almost, yeah,
just about. And the furthest you tilt before you get to what the Royal Stadium used to be is Citi Field in New York.
Okay.
That's just about. But there are two absolutely. Coors Field is essentially, and then Citizens Bank in Philly is just a little bit.
And the Royals may have a tilt. Again,
Yeah.
this was
from that
conceptual.
angle. Yeah. And even if that's the actual thing, from that angle, you can't quite tell if it's 100%. You'd have to be able to pull back and see how the streets go.
All right, so a number of things. One, they don't have real drawings.
No.
Okay, so I mean, I think that here are the things that I believe are of note, and we're gonna talk to the mayor a little bit later on, so we'll get his thoughts on this. We don't have real drawings. Okay, so we don't really know what it's going to look like. Two, and this is in no particular order, just things that I took away from the presentation. Two, by building it into the hill, we heard that, I can't remember what they said, 90 feet or
90
80
feet? I thought it was 90.
It's 90 feet of elevation change from basically one side of the city block that the ballpark's going to be on to the other. What that does is allow the Royals to basically dig out, which is much cheaper than hanging concrete in the air. When you see the exorbitant costs that go with stadiums, the biggest part of the cost, and one of the reasons why ballparks, one, people just like the lower seats, but ballparks, but even football stadiums now, you see these giant upper decks from back in the day. The upper decks get smaller and smaller and smaller because hanging concrete in the air is where all the expense is. And so by digging in to a hill and then viewing north, that's a lot less concrete you're going to have to hang. You've got the hill as a foundation. So that will make the overall project less expensive. I don't know how much they save because they'll be like, well, we still got to have the walkways, and actually the concrete's going to hang. It'll be maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's no savings in it because of the concourses and things you got to build. I would think that foundationally there's some cost savings there. And I do love the idea they made a point that the church steeple will sit higher than the ballpark.
Yeah.
And so I do think that is kind of a unique thing. And John Sherman mentioned, like he said, usually you walk up to a ballpark, it's this big thing, and it kind of says stay out. I mean, you can't get in unless you can get through the gate, whereas when you walk up to smaller ballparks that generally are built like this, dug into the ground, because they just don't need the seating capacity, and like I said, it's cheaper to dig than hang, then, you do kind of have, I can see in. And there are certain stadiums out there that are on somewhat of a grade. I wonder if this is the steepest grade that any ballpark has ever been built on, but it will give you the ability for, a decent section of it to be able to look in and see the ballpark while walking by.
Yeah.
Now, they're going to hang a green fence where you can't see through because they want you to buy a ticket. They don't want a bunch of people trying to watch. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to have a good view of the game. But to his point, it will be kind of open and inviting. I thought that was like, well, it's an interesting point. Even off these, super vague computer-generated graphics that we're looking at, I was like, yeah, I see that feel. I like that. I'm curious what the unique architecture is going to be, right? We've got the greatest architectural firms in the world, but when you dig into the ground, there's no like, it's going to look like a glass bowl. Remember when we got the now T-Mobile Center? I hadn't really seen the glass bowl. We found out that there had been one, but it was like, ooh, that's unique. That's new. We didn't expect that. What is going to be the unique design of Kauffman? I think it might get a little bit more difficult, but it also, I'm open to the idea that like, look, kind of everything that could be done has been done. The uniqueness is that there isn't going to be a lot of exterior to look at. That's going to be the uniqueness of it. Okay. I'm down with that. I do think that's pretty interesting. I also am curious, they showed in the rendition the Our Lady of Sorrows Parish still being there. And if it is still there, though, that does make for a really small apron.
For sure.
Right? A small area for tchotchke sales and concession, whatever you want outside the ballpark. And that could be like, that's our design. We don't want people standing around outside. We want them in. We want it to feel like it's part of the neighborhood. There's not a lot of apron around Wrigley Field. But they own everything around it. And here's the next big question is, what do they own and what does Hallmark own? I mean, the pitch on this was that they were going to build, they needed land to build a ballpark district that was going to include office buildings and hotels, and it was going to generate revenue for the ball club to help them, be able to put more money into the payroll and be able to be a more competitive team. From this rendition, I saw one new building. And John Sherman said, well, there's a little space over here on, I don't know if he said Gillum or kind of mentioned a couple. Well, where is this ballpark district? Because it seems to me like it's like, oh, yeah. Is the Hall family buying the team and they're looking to generate revenue for Crown Center? Because that seems to be the big winner in this.
Yeah. And if you zoom in on the big drawing, you can kind of see like the place where the ice terrace is. They have people milling about there. There's a little thing to the west, like the little K with the big crown. It's basically right in front of the east entrance of the Crown Center shops there on McGee or Grand. So I don't know. You can't see what's behind that. So, but it's not apparent by looking at it.
I'm intrigued by where the revenue generators are. Now, I think this is super preliminary in what they're doing, which begs, is it a preliminary look? They're close to being done, but this is just a preliminary look because they don't want to let out just part of the equation, and they want the full shock and awe of what we're looking at. I don't know, but I am trying to get my arms around where the revenue generators are when everything around the ballpark seems to already be built.
Yeah.
So
parking lots or residences.
Part of the sales pitch was, and I'm not trying to be negative because I think there may be an answer. We just don't have it yet on what that is.
Yeah.
But a big part of the sales pitch was, this is going to help generate the revenue that's going to help to keep us competitive. This is what we need to be a competitive ballpark. To be a competitive ball club. I'm like, well, are you buying Crown Center then, and everything that goes on at Crown Center is now your revenue generator? Like, to me, this truly is the devil are in the details.
Absolutely. One of the strongest examples of that phrase.
They got the crown in the drawing.
A fountain in center field.
They got a fountain in center field. I would like to go.
I think they'd have to do something. They'd have to. That's a little low. They're going to have the batter's eye. Won't allow them to do that.
You will not be able to have the fountains look like that.
No.
So that's another reason why we know this is extraordinarily.
That's the first thing I noticed is that
that's preliminary. I do like that the buildings over on the right, or the upper deck on the right field, it looks like there's up on top there's a grassy area with viewing. That where it will be, I don't know, but that will seem to be a part of it. The building that's in left field, which I presume would be the Royals' offices, maybe not. Maybe they're going to be in a new building because we know that the Hallmark offices are supposed to go somewhere in this development.
Yep.
We just don't know where. So I do think that they've got.
And neither did he. Neither did Donald Hall when he talked today. He didn't, we're going somewhere.
Some people have had some scuttlebutt that they're going to come out to the old Sprint campus, because that's owned by the Royals. That somehow in this financial dealing of working together would be they would get office space out in Kansas. So I think that's interesting. Like I want to know where the revenue generators are.
Yep.
Because from this, I don't see where it is. Doesn't mean, again, I want to stress, doesn't mean it's not there, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, and a lot of these the renderings that you'll see.
I mean, the ice rink is just past center field.
Yeah, you can see the canopy is probably 100 feet beyond the center, for 120 feet beyond the center field fence. A lot of the renderings you'll see this close to shovel in the ground. It's apparent where the revenue generators are. It's not here.
Yeah. And
maybe we'll see something. Maybe in 2 weeks they'll pop something out, and you'll go, "Oh, okay, there it is." But that's it's still there's a number of things, and it was self-described as this is just an idea. We're not there yet. Well, I'd like to know when they're going to be there and what it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
those are two big, at least one important question.
They talked about the 10-minute walking access. They put out a, which I'm sure will be everywhere. You can probably find it online. Put out the 10-minute walking access, so all the areas. They said there were 9,000 parking spaces in Crown Center. I don't park at Crown Center's parking spaces when I go to Crown Center. There's no way. That is one of the tightest parking lots.
Dude.
You're not putting a big vehicle, like, I've done it because I wanted to just show off to my wife that I could get, a great big old truck in there. But it's not, like, you better be skilled.
Yeah. And
which, of course, I was.
I did it for a living.
But it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
I did it for a living. There's not a part of that underground parking lot I've not had a car in, and there's not a part of it that's easy.
Yeah, they said
the only places that are the part of the parking that's underneath Grand is a little more open area, but everything else there's a lot of tight spaces there.
3,000 more parking spaces over at Union Station. They mentioned, and there will be parking. I'm just gonna, for a lot of people, I'm gonna tell you, like, my plan when this is done. I'm not driving down there. I might drive to. If you get the trolley running down to, Brookside, I'll park in Brookside, I'll Uber, or I might Uber to the game and trolley back a little ways. I mean, again, I'm not super negative on it. I think this does a great job of tying a lot of the communities together and giving, to where there's going to be spillover from these ball games. There already is. People leave. I mean, no matter where you live, when the ball game got out, you're at a restaurant and all of a sudden here comes all these people wearing, Royals gear. They've spilled on out. They've driven there. It's going to be more of a revenue generator. I think it'll be easier to keep some of that money in Kansas City, Missouri, to be frank. Right? Because you'll be more likely if you don't drive down there. But I think the people who are like, where am I going to park? I'm going to tell you it's time to get over that because it's here. And two, start thinking about what your alternatives are. And I would start considering whether it's Uber, whether it's taxi, whether it's park and jump on public transportation. Like, this city, to be a world-class city, to continue to grow and be a world-class city, has to get more mass transit. And you're going to have to get your ass on it at some point if we're going to be world-class.
Yep.
But that's just it. And by the way, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
In a very short sentence, among other things, that I think it was John Sherman said, this is what great cities do.
Yes.
And I thought that as succinct as that was, that to me is a monstrous statement as far as just the overall truth of where we're going here.
The next thing that jumps at me, though, with no parking is no tailgating. Right?
Yep.
I mean, and tailgating at Kaufman is not the same tradition that it is with the Chiefs.
Yeah, because it's not a weekly.
But there are people who like to do it.
Yeah.
And that won't be there. Which to me is, again, why I want to know where you're going to generate revenue off that. Like, what are you going to provide?
Yeah.
Are you going to provide some kind of entertainment area where people can be like, okay, well, we're not going out and cooking our own dogs, but let's go get a dog. Let's get to the game at 5. One, I can get my parking spot I want where I've found. You'll find your nooks and crannies, like most of us, or any of us that have semi-regular. I'm not even going to say I'm consistent at going to T-Mobile Center. I mean, I go a couple times a year, but I know where I'm parking. Mm-hmm. I figured it out. Yeah. It didn't take 20 years for me to figure it out.
No.
I know my little parking niche. We'll all figure it out. You'll get it figured out. It'll be all right. But like my plan would be like, let's go down early. Not doing this radio show, but if I were, where I could get out of work early, let's go down early and let's meet up. Let's have a couple of Coronas here. Where's my spot?
Like you do a little bit north.
I mean,
at the arena.
You can do it up at the P&L, but that's not a 10-minute walk.
No.
Now, my fat ass could use a 20-minute walk. It's probably a 20-minute walk. And so that would still be an option for Tubby here.
Yeah.
And I should probably do it, to be honest with you. But there are all kinds of great things in the Crossroads. I mean, I will stress the thing that I like the most about this is I think a lot of, great Kansas City businesses are going to benefit from this as well. I think this is going to bring even more revenue to a lot of businesses on the boulevard. You get to the boulevard, you're not that far away. Like if you can find a place to park over there and then, jump in an Uber, from that point. Like, I think, or even walk from that point. I think the proximity is going to be great. It's going to be great for all of downtown, and I think the P&L will be lively when this game. If you don't have an entertainment center, and maybe that's it, they don't want to hear everybody about how the P&L is going to lose all its. That's going to be a barren wasteland on game nights. Like, that's a concern. But I'd like to think we're growing as a city, not in massive population, but in our appetite for events, and that economically, it's the I'm not going to use the term wealth, but the funds are getting shared around where, we could have a concert with 18,000 at T-Mobile the same time we put 32,000 in Kauffman Stadium.
Yes.
We do have current games and sporting games, opposite, Royals games. I'd like to think that we could maybe even have a Royals and Chiefs game at the same time. You got to make a decision. But I'd like to think we're getting to a point, hopefully, where people have, where the cost isn't so much, but that the entertainment dollar, people have it, that we can have world-class events going on all the time, all over the place in this city. So, look, it always looks pretty cool when you see something new. I am intrigued. The biggest hang-up I have, though, is where are the revenue generators? Because that was the reason that was said for why they needed a new ballpark. That and the cancerous concrete that somehow was cured back at the renovations and then reared its ugly head again when it came time to pick where you're going to play ball next. Can we get a guarantee? Let me ask the mayor this. Guarantee no cancer concrete.
Use the non-cancerous concrete.
Can we use that? Can somebody inspect the concrete?
Yes.
So we can make sure that 20 years down the road we're not hearing about, well, we might have to build new, or we need $5 billion in renovations. We got the cancer concrete again.
Yep.
Sucks to be us.
We ordered the other.
I would like to think that we've exhausted that. Now listen, Kyle, because there's a better than average chance Tubby and I here aren't going to be here when this goes around. It's going to be on you and the Michael Darcy's of the world to be like, hell, I heard about the cancer concrete when they built this new thing, and I know from the fat asses I used to work with, their old asses told me they were bitching about that back around 2005. It's going to be on you to put it to them and be like, don't give me any of this cancer concrete crap.
And they're gone now, and I'm going to do this for them.
That's what's going to have to happen. I don't know what these buildings are to the north, but they seem to be, they're not in play. Where we originally thought this is where they'll put it.
Yeah, let me see. I've got Google Maps up here.
But that would seem to be like the entertainment district location.
I guess it's just an office park, because there's a number of buildings in companies.
Okay.
I don't see a name of the park, but there's BNIM, Heavy Engineers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
A bunch of things I haven't heard of.
All right. Do you like it? Do you like what you've seen? We don't have the final rendition. We don't know everything that's going into it, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts right now? We did get another big chunk of it today. 913-3810810. We'll take a break. You're in the program. All right, welcome back. You're in the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Petro, Seaboldt, Collier with you. Royals made a big announcement today. The governor of Missouri was there. The mayor of Kansas City, Missouri was there. Don Hall Jr. was there. Hallmark being a big part of the equation. We saw some renderings, preliminary, conceptual in nature. Just curious. We now know where it is, a little further south even than we thought yesterday when word started breaking that it wasn't going in the park. Let's take your phone calls. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What are you worried about? What questions you have? We're supposed to get the mayor later on. If you got something you want me to ask the mayor, let me know. 913-810-810. Let's talk to Kelly. You're in the program, Kelly. What's going on?
Hey, Soren. Love the show as always. Just a comment on the new stadium. Number one, I'm very excited about it. It needs to be downtown. And the people complaining about no place to tailgate, we're probably one of the few, if any, cities in the United States that tailgates at baseball games. And you know why you tailgate out at Truman Sports Complexes? Because there's nothing else to do. And you've got a stadium downtown. You're going to have restaurants, bar and grills. There's plenty of things you can do before and now after the game, as opposed to packing up your bags and leaving after a game because there's nothing to do. And as far as getting down there and parking, you know, go park at UMKC and catch the
streetcar.
Tram.
Yeah,
streetcar. You know, park down at the city market. Take the streetcar. It's going to be amazing, and let alone all the good it'll do for the small business owners down in the area.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for the call, Kelly, and I'm with you. I mean, I think this is where the world is going. Look, there's ways to get there without having to take your car. I know we as Americans, we love our cars. I love my cars. Love the freedom it gives us. But for these events, this is how most baseball is in other towns. Like it's downtown, it's limited parking, you know, and this they have done it for years, and their pets' heads have not fallen off.
Yes, and if you're one of those fans who spent the last week and a half or so, like a lot of people, grousing about how unserious this organization is and his team, do they really want to win? This is part of the deal. I mean, you want this team to be as good as it possibly can for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This is one of the things that has to be done. You can't be mad at one thing and then say you don't want the solution.
Yeah, 913-810-810. Let's go to the phones. Joe, you're in the program. What's going on, Joe?
What happened to Riverfront Park? I mean, what a perfect place for this thing, right next to the river, plenty of room.
Where are you talking about where the current stadium is right now?
No, where they could have put it. Riverfront Park.
I don't know where that
we
is.
used to all watch fireworks down there when we were kids, if you're old enough. And then they found dioxin there and shut the park down. But that's enormous space right next to the river. Great
Where?
access.
Where is this, please? Can you share with us where this is? I have no idea where you're talking about.
Riverfront Park is between Choteau Bridge and the old Paseo Bridge, right on the river.
So it's west of where the current is, where the current stadium is.
No, it's east. It's east of
east
of the city on the Missouri River.
That's a cliff, isn't it?
No. There's a great big park down there. It sits on the north side of the levee.
Okay.
So the levee
well, I don't know. I can't tell you. Somebody else owns it. It's
No. It's a public park.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that,
All right.
Joe. So thanks. Appreciate it. You know. They put it because they want it to be around something that's already there. I'm pretty confident that if we're going east, so we're talking about east of Bally's.
I guess, yeah.
Because that's right across the highway from CPKC, right? Or KCCP, I forget what is the...
CPKC, I think it is.
Right, so we're talking about east of Bally's.
Yeah.
And when you go east of Bally's, you know, I know like Jay Riegers is over that. Like, I'm not sure where I'm sure if you're from that area, people are like, you dumbass, there's this park there. Okay. I don't know. Like, Steven probably know. But I have no idea why they didn't put it there. But I'll tell you all the negatives for it. There's literally nothing else around it. The whole idea is to create a vibrant economic engine.
Yeah.
Okay, and for that, yes, you want your own, and this is one of the questions I've got, you want your own space to create your own entertainment district that you can, take a lot of revenue from that theoretically, and we've been told, will be put back into the ballpark. So if there's a bunch of space where you're talking and I'm just not familiar with it, that's great, but no one's hanging around. Like the one thing we have found is just building an entertainment area out in the middle of nowhere. There's got to be a symbiotic relationship with other things going on around it. You need businesses. You need people to eat lunch there. You need people to eat dinner there on days that there isn't an event going on all the time. There has to be people around it to make the whole thing go.
Why would you move from a place that has all kinds of room but nothing around it to another place that has all kinds of room but nothing around it?
Well, because he used to hang out there when he was a kid. I mean, I get it. No, listen, I'm not trying to belittle Joe at all. I mean, I get it. That's a special place for him. It may be a picturesque place. It may be a perfect place for a ballpark. I think the problem is it's not the perfect place for everything else.
Yeah.
And it's the everything else is why the Royals are moving. Yeah. Ed, you're in the program. What's going on, Ed?
Hey, guys. This is a great day should be, for sports in Kansas City. You guys are telling the real deal.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What do you think about the location? Are you on board?
I grew up in the city, and I'm old enough to. Yes, I did go to the old stadium at Sam's parking lot and all that good stuff. But them building that with the amount of land that they have now, and I just wanted to point out real quick, and I'll listen off the air.
Okay.
That, the Dodgers are downtown, the Padres are downtown, the Cubs are downtown, San Francisco, Atlanta, and the least amount of people, even though they might be, a little bit bigger cities, 3 million was the bottom for the teams that I mentioned. 3 million people downtown, they found out somewhere to go park.
Yes.
I mean, hell, they just had the news conference 4 hours ago, and we're already redoing the earth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, there will be, and Ed, thank you for the call. There will be, everyone will find their spot.
Yeah.
There are parking lots. There'll be some new parking lots made. It won't be, the hang up on the parking is that there are a couple generations of people, Kyle, his generation, Kurtis and I's generation, that all we know, and Ed, it sounds like you're the third generation, that you remember Municipal Stadium, which had no parking.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was in an urban area. But a couple of generations of people have known only acres and acres and acres of parking.
It's to the point where it's become a punchline in this. I mean, I'd love to have anyone love me as much as people in KC love to park.
Yeah, I mean, I think
to have parking.
To Kelly's point about like the only place, I think it was Kelly. I don't think it was Joe. I think it was Kelly. Maybe it was Joe, and I apologize. But the idea that, like, in other cities, you go have a good time before the game. It's not just standing outside your car.
Yeah.
And I know that's some people's thing. That's great. You got it. The Chiefs are going to give you acres and acres and acres of parking. You're still going to be able to do it. But I'm going to tell you, the more games you go to, the less you're likely to tailgate. Because it's a commitment to go to 20 games a year, 40 games a year. If you're a full season ticket holder and you're hitting almost every home game, I guarantee you're not dragging the grill out there every week. I mean, that's the difference of baseball is it's every day when they're home.
And the battery's been in backwards in that idea. The tailgating existed because there was nothing around there.
Yes.
Had they built that stadium, both those stadiums around a bunch of restaurants, people wouldn't have been tailgating in there. They would have been going to the entertainment district around it.
Went to the Baltimore
It was a
Orioles.
necessity.
Went to the Orioles and Royals, ALCS in 2014. We were on location. Well, first of all, we were staying at a hotel that I could look in the stadium from my hotel room. And we were outside in gear, ready to rock. 2.5 hours before the game, we were standing outside on the patio portion of a bar that was right across the street from where the Orioles were. And for me, I had a great time.
Yeah.
And Baltimore made a lot more money off me that day than Arrowhead has ever made off me on any tailgate. Because probably 2 beers and a sandwich at that place in Baltimore pump more money into the economy than I have spent because I don't put on the tailgate. So I just drag over,
Bring somebody with
a cooler full of Coronas, and that's it. That's what we got. Modelo Oros, dive in, but it was a lot cheaper and less money than what it would cost to, stay at a restaurant. Now, if you're like, well, that's what I like about it, it's cheap. I hear you. And the Chiefs will still have that for you. That will still be there. And I will tell you that there will probably be some surface parking where if you get there early enough, you can probably still tailgate. But I really think the vast majority of the very limited amount of tailgating that goes on at Kauffman Stadium it's opening day, exceptions to the rule, and then it's people that go once a year or twice a year.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you the Royals have done the research on that. If you only go to one Royals game a year, then it's an event.
For sure.
But most baseball fans go to many games. 913-810-810. Travis, you're in the program. What's up, Travis?
Hey, couple quick comments. He mentioned phase 1 several times. Did they come up and say when they're going to announce anything about phase 2?
No, they didn't. That's I think a good question for the mayor. And I think phase 2. Phase 1 is going to be let's get the ballpark open. Then phase 2 is going to be building the money generators around it, which is, I'll be honest with you, a little bit disappointing because it means we're 10 years away from the money generators kicking in, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole idea, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And like I said, as I look at the renderings, where are the things that the Royals are going to own that are going to generate revenue and go back into the ball club? And look, I'm all for, and I bring that up because that's the sales pitch they said. I am for moving to a downtown location for what I think it's going to do for the vibrancy of downtown. So if it doesn't generate any revenue, that I don't care, as long as they continue to put a competitive ball club on the field. But there is I don't want to hear that, well, we don't have the revenue generators around us, and that's why we've lost 100 games 6 of the last 10 years and haven't sniffed a winning record like we went through after their time contending. 8 years was really what that was. Unacceptable. The whole pitch was to get public money to make it easier for the Royals to compete. That's where they started, and that still has to be explained.
Hey, one other comment, too,
yes,
on the parking. I've been to baseball games in other cities downtown. I've been to Minnesota to a Chiefs game. I've been to Indianapolis downtown football for Chiefs games. I have been more frustrated leaving the parking complex at Arrowhead Stadium or Royal Stadium, leaving that place after a game than I was getting out of any downtown area after a game. I couldn't believe how easy I got out of Minnesota whenever the Chiefs-Vikings game was up there. I made a comment to my son, I thought I would be trapped downtown forever. I got out faster than I've ever left a Royals game.
Let me, I will tell you, and that is a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, Travis. Thank you for the call. I'm going to let you go. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And there are some people that live, in Raytown or they live in Independence that they've got their quick little route and their spot in the parking lot that gives them the quick out. I have no doubt that there are a number of people, I don't even want to say a handful, but there are a number of people that are like, I'm home in 10 minutes. I've had people call and say that. I usually take somebody telling me something like that, like I take somebody's winnings in Vegas.
Right.
When you tell me you won 300, I divide by 2 and subtract 250, and I usually have the right number. You tell me the time it takes you to get home, I usually take it times 2 and add 5 minutes. And so if you tell me 10 minutes, I'll bet you 25 minutes, which is still not bad.
And that's accurate because I could see Kauffman Stadium or the Arrowhead from the roof of my house. I never got home in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was about 20 minutes.
And I'm going to tell you the little secret is, it got way, way, way worse when they did the renovations.
Absolutely.
Because you used to have 5 lanes going around both stadiums, and it backs up there, and it never, once people start leaving, it backs up there, and then just quickly fills up from out,
Yep.
and they never catch up. So what was an easy in and easy out back in the day became less and less as they started needing security measures after 9/11 of protecting the stadiums and putting in boulders and increasing the apron and extending how far out they wanted to put the security perimeter so you couldn't just walk up with a dirty bomb right to the the foundation of the stadium.
Yeah.
They wanted you to have to go through the metal detectors far enough out that if you I don't like talking about this, but I talked to people about it back in September 11 days and all that. They needed to get people away from where they could check them, that they weren't walking up with an incendiary device that was going to be right under the foundation and bring the whole damn building down. And so that has changed the dynamics of things, and it's not easy to get in and out of there, and I am with you. And I'm going to tell you, I would much rather walk a block or two, stop off at a pub, hang out, or even just walk a few blocks and get to an easy spot and then get in my car and have an easy out. Like, I would way rather leave T-Mobile than I would ever want to leave a Chiefs game.
Oh, easily.
And T-Mobile was, where are we going to park? That's what everybody said. And I walked the 2 or 3 blocks to where my car is, and I am on a highway
Yep.
in a lot faster time. You want to know why? Because it was built to get a lot of people in and out, going to and from work, the whole area.
Yes, there are many ways to. You don't have to go through one channel to get there. There are lots of different directions you can go to get on a main thoroughfare.
Exactly. 913-810-810. More of your calls next. Taking your phone calls here in the program. Royals announcing more of their plan. They're announcing that they're on board. They're in it. It's their plan. They're going to do it. We now know that the Hall family and the Hallmark Foundation, Hall Corporation, is part of the equation as well. We know where they want to put it. We still got more questions. Hopefully get a few more answers with Mayor Lucas. I think many of them we're not going to get for a while. But we took a big step today, 913-381-0810. We're taking your calls right now. Lance, you're next up here in the program. What's up, Lance?
Hey, good afternoon, Soren.
Afternoon. What's on your mind?
I was going to comment quickly on the location. I think it's great. You know, I've lived in my younger days outside New York City and then in Chicago, and, you know, being able to go to Yankees games and Cubs games, awesome. People will, you know, we're naturally, and trust me, I'm the first one to gripe about things, so I'm not complaining about the people complaining. But, you know, I think once they experience it, they'll discover that it's not quite as bad as they think. On the complaint or concern side, you know, as a Kansas City resident and someone who, you know, impacted by these decisions directly by the financials, I really, really want to see the numbers and make sure that it's revenue, whatever revenue shortfalls are covered, not by the citizens of Kansas City, but by someone else, as long as it's not me.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I heard the governor.
Yeah.
I think it was the governor I was hearing when I was driving in, and we're going to play more of this when Todd Lebo comes in. We're going to do a little Lebo sounds next hour, so we'll let you hear some more of the principles. And sometime during the afternoon, we'll have the mayor on here, we believe, as well. I'm putting it on my list of questions, but I believe it was the governor who was saying that there are mechanisms in place if there are overruns, that it's not. I know from talking to the mayor already, as a Kansas City, Missouri resident, they're giving $600 million. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, that's their number. You know, if the Royals bring it in at $800 million, well, $600 million came from Kansas City, Missouri. But he was clear that $600 million was all that they were going to spend. Now the question is, does the state of Missouri, which would be you as well, ultimately it's your tax dollars coming from somewhere. You know, how much are they going to be on the hook for that? I think the Royals, I think they may be on the hook for the split. I've read some things that say it's only going to be $300 or $400 million from the state. Other people speculating that if it's $1 billion stadium, it'll be $500 million. We'll just have to wait and see when we get the final details.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, cynical, skeptical, because I've told the same thing about Power and Light, and I think it's somewhere around $10 million a year out of the general fund, which I certainly think the city could spend that money. I'd like to have that as a citizen to be spent on other things that are more important, I think, to the general citizenry than Power and Light. And that's not saying Power and Light is bad. I'm just saying in making choices, I would make my choices elsewhere.
Yeah,
you live in the show me
always,
state. I mean, hey.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Lance, thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
913-381-0810. Let's talk to Todd. You're in the program, Todd. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Soren. Hey, just a couple quick points.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm ecstatic about the location. I thought Washington Square Park, it just felt like it was trying to shoehorn into too small of a space.
Okay.
So here's what I want to say. I think there was concern back in the day moving Kemp Arena to what's now T-Mobile because of parking. T-Mobile, on average, 20,000 in attendance. Well, guess what? Royals' average last year was a little over 20,000. And there hasn't been any parking concerns brought up about T-Mobile that I'm aware of in the last several years. In fact, it's been a really good move, I think, for Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point. That's what I said. Listen, it took me a couple of years to figure out my favorite spot to park for where I want to go when I'm done. I park there every time. I never have any problem. It's a several block walk. It's been easy, and I think it'll be the same kind of thing. There'll be a learning curve for a couple of years while we figure it out, but we'll all find our spot, and there'll be some additional parking added. But I'm with you. I mean, I think it's a vocal minority. I think there should be we're all like the first time I go down there, I'm going to be like, all right, let's go early. We got to figure out what's open, which direction I can go, on what streets, because we know that's going to be one of the things they do is they're going to commandeer the streets around there. So you're probably only going to be one way on a street that's usually two way, and we're all going to have to figure it out. So it'll take a couple of years, and they might even tweak it along the way, but it will get there, and it will be like I said, like we're going to a concert, no problem. Know where I might eat, know where I'm going to park. It'll become second nature.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Soren.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it.
And people will wonder why we waited so long.
Yeah. 913-810-810. Let's get Mark in here. You're in the program. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, I'm from Chicago originally. I moved to Kansas City about 6 years ago, become a big Royals fan. I love the K, but one thing, when they do these studies, I'm always interested, if you look at who the real the fan base is, it's families. And when you think of families, you think of the suburbs. And, building these stadiums downtown, most families in suburbs, it's a big trek and a big chore to go downtown. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like what the Chiefs did, again, getting out there and kind of the Legends area. So, and I know you mentioned Atlanta. That's not right downtown, that ballpark. You look at the Cowboys, Arlington, that's not right downtown. So, there's a lot of things. I'm going to enjoy the new ballpark, but I just often wonder if these teams look, when they do these studies, where are the majority of our fans coming from? It's the suburbs.
Yeah, they do. And Mark, they and I'm going to let you go, but please keep listening off the air. They do. But, I don't know when you moved here from Chicago. I assume you've been here for a little bit and heard a lot of this debate. But they, at one point, were allegedly coming to Kansas, right? They bought land just a mile from where I sit right now. And I'm going to tell you, this suburb, this area, the Overland Park in Leawood said, no, not in our backyard. So I hear what you're saying. I mean, and they thought, okay, this will be great because a lot of our season ticket holders are out here. Let's get closer to them. And they're like, no, not right here. NIMBY. So that's one of the things that, like, I agree with you. And you mentioned some really big cities, but, the Bears are downtown. The Cubs aren't downtown, but they're not far from downtown. I think, in a city this size, that's the area that is built to handle a lot of traffic. That's where you have multiple highways. That was one of the things that made a good spot for Truman Sports Complex, because you had multiple highways crisscrossing there, but downtown is built to move people in and out.
All right, who's the only pitcher to strike out the last 10 batters he faced in a game? Brought to you by Twin Peaks.
Time to talk to the great Todd Lebo. He's back. Spain ain't got nothing on him.
I'm back.
The
I feel about
Spaniard
right now.
returns.
I feel about right.
Do you?
Yeah.
Didn't take me any time to adjust coming back. Going over there, I had to.
Yeah, it was
I was
rough.
sleeping during the day, but
Yeah.
coming back, I was like, no
It
problem.
wasn't bad because you wake up early when you come back, and I needed to be up early anyway
Yeah.
to be on Monday morning. So it was like I was up. I was
Yeah.
ready. No alarm for me. I was up 4:30. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
And then I was up early yesterday. Today I slept till it was 5:30. I went for a walk. Did my things.
Okay.
Been down to Crown Center.
Yeah.
First time in a while.
Yeah. I
Had
like it.
lunch at Crown Center after the press conference.
Okay.
Stephen and Bethany and I went over there and enjoyed some Crown Center, Empanada Madness, and then walked around. There was some people sitting at the table next to us, and the guy was talking about the stadium thing, and he worked for Hallmark, and they had gotten the email this morning. So the Royals employees all got an email this morning, and the Hallmark people all got an email this morning saying, "Here's the deal."
Yeah.
They did a really nice job of not letting this part out of the thing.
By the way, real quick, Curtis.
Yes.
You ever gone to lunch with Lebo since we worked here?
One time.
One. It was
One
to
time.
interview that guy.
No, we've done
there
breakfast
was-
to interview lots of guys.
There was one other time.
We interviewed
Me?
that guy. We interviewed Adam.
Me and you?
No, yeah, we went to Adam. We interviewed Adam over here at the First Watch.
Oh, yeah.
And we interviewed Kyle at
That's
Johnny's.
it. That's all.
But just like let's just
Have
go to
we ever
lunch,
got a
have
casual
fun.
lunch?
Well, you
One
used
time.
to be on the air at lunch all the
Yeah.
time.
Not for 7 years.
One time.
One lunch in 7
remember
years.
this
You
little-
can't squeeze in with me and the big guy, Aaron?
Little hole in the wall pie.
Let's
place.
go to lunch. You guys go to
I'll hold
lunch
my
over here
breath.
at Schlotsky's, and you never invite
Let's go
me.
now.
Well, I'll
Why
hold
don't
my
you
breath.
invite me? Ever.
What? You shut up. We have invited you many times. No, I'm getting out of
Listen,
here.
I told Steven I want to go back to go to work, and he's like, "No, we're down here. Let's have lunch."
Yeah,
and he
good
said,
for Steven.
And he said, "I'm buying." So I said, "I'm in."
I knew something was up when Steven was leaving as I was arriving,
Yes.
which
Ready.
does tell a little bit on myself as to what time I get here.
Why we don't go to lunch? Because I've eaten lunch at 11 o'clock. Yeah, maybe
I'm
so.
usually finishing lunch about now.
Yes.
Is the problem.
But yeah, we were down there, and they had the press conference in the American restaurant,
Yeah?
which overlooks the.
Did you get anything there? That's a good restaurant,
Well,
I hear.
you want to hear a funny story? So
They said they had food. I heard at the end they had food. I
They
was
did.
watching the whole thing.
the food wasn't for us.
Oh.
But we did walk into the place where the food was and got a little app, and then they came to us and said, "Guys, this is not for you guys." It was, "Oh, okay, it's not for us." We, they made
Really?
the announcements. The food was for all the muckety mucks there, and so we happened to just walk up there. And said, "Well, heck, they're going to be food here. Let's go up there and get some."
Yeah.
And I got we got some sort of a rice ball and something else, and then we were told we had to leave.
Did a clown come out with a broom and literally sweep you guys away?
They were nice about it, but they're like, this is not for you.
Oh, my Lord.
Anyway, but yeah, so the American restaurant, it's a beautiful scene, overlooks, all
Because
the
they
stuff
can't
that said.
afford it? Is that it?
No, I don't know why. It's just,
$600 million from the,
yeah.
the city's not going to cover it?
I'm pretty sure the American restaurant's probably owned by the Hall family. Everything else down there is. But anyway, I don't need free food off anybody. But I will be out there for steak night tomorrow at the Chiefs for the draft. So.
Do they
do
do
take
for
care
the
of you out
draft
there.
on day one? They do steak?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you
wow.
guys getting food tomorrow here?
We'll have something. We'll
Oh,
figure
yeah.
something out. Either Chad will take care of us, or we've got friends in
Sometimes
high places.
I know I'm not telling Kevin Timmons to bring some food, but I know sometimes he's brought some food.
He likes to do that. There may be some Lafetta flying around.
Oh, Brocco,
Yeah.
get some food
We
up
may-
in
we may
here.
have-
Let's go.
Little Lafetta Italian delicatessen coming around.
Yes.
We'll be fine.
You'll be okay.
We'll
You'll
be
eat.
fine.
You'll
yes,
eat.
Yes, we're not going to starve.
I don't want you working all night and not getting food.
Well, Curtis did have a doctor's appointment. They told him, listen, if you miss one meal, that's it.
That's it.
You're
You're
out.
toast.
Yep.
You're not going to make it.
I did make the mistake
good of shape.
yesterday. I had my physical yesterday. Probably not smart. 2 days after vacation. Should have given a little time on that one. Bite the bullet.
Those
Let's
labs
go.
a little off.
I haven't gotten them yet.
You going to stay with us,
Get
or
in the
they
portal.
give you a window?
I'm fine.
Okay,
We'll get
good.
through this at least.
All right, let's hear a little bit from what happened today. By the way, Todd Lebo is brought to you by our friends at Family Leisure. Little Lebo sounds, courtesy of our friends at Family Leisure. They're at K10 in Ridgeview, Todd. You can find them online at familyleisure.com if you'd like to go by. In fact, we're going to be broadcasting over there, I think, on the 29th or 30th. Isn't that right? Which day? Kyle? Look at Kyle's like, news to me.
What?
I don't know. Check out their wonderful Sundance Spa Wellness Sale. They've got the industry's leading name in luxury hydrotherapy, now available at Family Leisure in Olathe. Buy a Sundance Spa during Family Leisure's wellness event, and you can choose a free infrared sauna or a free fire pit. Plus, spring into savings. They've got great sales going on right now on 2026 collections of patio furniture, above-ground pools, and much, much more. It's at Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview. Todd, where do we begin here in these festivities?
Well, the announcement was an announcement. It wasn't a press conference. So that was them doing all their talking. So what they had afterwards, they brought folks over, Governor Keogh and Mayor Lucas. They brought them over for scrums, gaggles, whatever you'd like to call them. And then at the end, we thought we were going to get like John Sherman, but they ended up bringing John Sherman and Don Hall, and then like Brooke Sherman. They were all in this. It was a true scrum. I felt like locking up and rolling the rugby ball through or something. So. Anyway, I'm going to play, instead of just parsing this up and playing like a bite and talking about it, I'm going to play a chunk and we'll talk, and a chunk and we'll talk, and a chunk and we'll talk. So the voices you will hear, and everyone knows John Sherman's
You've told me
voice at
that
this point.
twice. Are you afraid I'm just going to go next or something in between?
No.
Okay.
But I just want the listeners to understand what's happening here. You'll hear John Sherman's voice.
What you're hearing was all continuous.
It was all continuous.
Yeah.
We're playing it in order. We're just stopping and kind of discussing at these points that I think are good point to talk about what we've heard in the first couple of 3 minutes.
Okay.
Or whatever. So we'll just kick this off. This is the beginning. They finally get in there and we get organized and we start talking, and this is how it all began.
Location, the exact location of where this will be going and when that was determined?
I think, Don, do you want to...
Yeah, the exact location is just the Hallmark headquarters building that you see right here. It'll go where our parking lot is off of Gillum and come all the way to 25th Street here.
Will any businesses be displaced on them?
Hallmark, yeah. And we just told our employees that the Hallmark building will be coming down, and we got to now go to work and try to figure out where we will stay. But we are going to be committed to Crown Center. We love this neighborhood. We're going to love it even more.
Julie, can you just speak to when that was determined and when you informed the city and just the city council of that as well?
Of the
stadium footprint?
Well, we told them about that we were coming to Crown Center a while ago. Before they took it to the council. I don't know that we gave them the exact location. We told them we're coming to Crown Center. We're trying to protect Hallmark and their employees that from wondering if something leaked, kind of where they were going. But it's really right back here. I think what is that, 25th Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That would be probably the back of the center field.
When did this start? When did you guys come up with this idea, tearing down the headquarters, building a stadium here? When did it start? How fast did it come together?
Well, that was his idea, but we've been talking for a while. This is I give Don a ton of credit. I spoke to it a little bit. Somebody, a legacy asset like this, and as Don and I we were talking before we started talking about Crown Center, and but when Don really opened up and said, "Could we imagine Crown Center?" And that's that was months ago probably, and we've spent a lot of time together, just thinking through it with some architects and land planners to kind of think about conceptually what we could do here.
Question: Did the Royals and their architects also evaluate as an alternative the footprint that was kind of popularly, unofficially depicted in the press? And if so, why, beyond the Crown Center, if at all, was this considered more advantageous for the stadium itself?
You're talking about Washington Square Park? Or?
Yeah, the park and the Blue KC.
Well, I think the ordinance was Washington Square Park, Crown Center area. And, in listening to our fans, if you look, I probably should have talked about it while the map was up on the screen there. The architects could have fit something into Washington Square Park, but it had challenges for us as a baseball team. I mean, Brooks can speak to it. If you think about Minneapolis, they're over a freeway with Grand there. I think it's 11.7 acres total between the Blue Cross building and Washington Square Park. But when you look at this site that we just showed you today, what is that, 15 acres, correct?
15 acres is where the ballpark will sit on the Crown Center property. You get a symmetrical stadium, beautiful stadium that is everything that the Royals need, and it fits well into the 85 acres that is Crown Center, plus add Washington Square Park to that as part of the district. It's a great opportunity for the city.
So that last voice was Brooke Sherman. So there's a lot kind of going on there because the questions were kind of here and there, and that question about Washington Square Park. For months we thought Washington Square Park meant a baseball stadium at Washington Square Park, and then it was yesterday we're like, okay, not Washington Square Park. So
well, I'm going to tell you that here's my belief. My belief is they absolutely were talking about that area.
Mm-hmm.
Acting like
I think they realized it was just too small.
That's this. First of all, you could tell he's evasive as hell about when this came together.
For sure,
they're absolute. Both of them are evasive as hell. And then at some point, he finally offers. Months ago, we talked about it. Well, what? At a dinner party 3 years ago before the vote, when when everybody and their brother was
who was there?
Joe called me earlier and said, hey, right along the river would be a good spot. Was it a conversation like that, or did you really have conversations? They are unbelievably, uncomfortably evasive about when this came together.
Mm-hmm. I think,
and I'm going to tell you that I know for a fact they were absolutely talking about the park.
Yes.
Now maybe they vetted it all the way, and after doing it. This came around after they went I just don't think we can make it work. I was told unequivocally
on opening day if there was enough space there.
Yeah.
And he said yes, and then I think they realized maybe not.
Well, I was told unequivocally that the building it that close to the railroad lines, and I've been saying that for months, was going to present a real challenge. Now, you can absolutely build over rail lines.
Yeah.
There are things you got to do. You may not like that. We just like to just put it right. No, you got to have 20 feet of clearance or what. It may not be exactly how you want to do it, but you can do it. I mean, they were going to build an entire brand new football stadium over the train yards in New York City.
Yeah.
That's not the handful of trains we've got going. Mm-hmm. They were basically going to build a concrete table, for lack of a better term, over the rail yards, and that's where the Jets stadium was going to go. And then they ended up going, all right, the cost was getting so big, they said, we'll just go back in with the Giants. So the thing that stands out to me about that part is just they are incredibly evasive about when this came together, which do you think that means that they were thinking about it 5 years ago and this was the plan all along and they don't want it getting out because they had a vote that they didn't really want to win with? I don't.
No, I don't think that's
Or do you think that this came together literally weeks ago?
I think that's much more likely.
I think that's what happened.
Than the other. That's what I think. Listen, this was a weird situation. We didn't have a lot of time. It wasn't like you could just ask 2 questions in a row or anything like that. But that would be a great question for John Sherman or Don Hall, when, because he said right there, well, this is really Don came to me and said, would you consider this? Because I think there's lots of reporting out there now about there's some tax code things about abatements ending and it could be good for them. I don't pretend to understand any of that stuff. Okay?
Let me tell you something.
People who do.
Nothing gets done by rich people unless it's good for rich people.
Yes.
And so they don't do things that suck for them. Now, John Sherman has given a tremendous amount to this city.
And so is the Hall family.
And so is the Hall family. So we want those businesses thriving because then they continue to give things. So get your panties out of a bunch over that. But yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the Hall family and the Hall Corporation are going to benefit from this, no doubt.
Yeah, whatever way it is, if it's getting out of this office space that they have, and then it becomes something else, and then they don't have to pay taxes on a certain rate. I don't know. Yeah. Someone smart has got that.
This is how it gets done. By the way, and it isn't the first time the Hall family would have got a tax abatement for it. I'm sure the Crown Center sits there because I'm sure there were all kinds of
back when they built
that's how it gets done. That's how they built the Panasonic battery place.
They told
multiple generations of that.
Yeah, they told the history that that area was blighted back in the '60s, and they revitalized. They did. I mean, it's been a place, and you know what? It needs a facelift now.
Yeah, this will be good all around. Absolutely.
It should be. So that was a good place to stop that. So then I asked John Sherman, we're just about a little over 2 years away from when they got told no. And, basically what has this last couple of years been like after getting resoundingly told no? They didn't want the Jackson County voters didn't want to participate in the sales tax to keep you in the crossroads.
Going back to, I would just say a couple of years ago, I think we misfired. There were some things there, but, we kind of woke up the next morning and just, okay, hey, look, we kept our eye on the prize and we stepped back a little bit, but some things could have happened differently there. But it was look, this is a much different situation, and it really got to me. It got very exciting when Don Hall. In fact, I've told him this, but we were talking about it one day. To make sure I heard him right, I had to stand up, make sure all the air passages were clear, because he said, John, I'd like to think about talking to you about reimagining Crown Center. And look around you here. This is a one-of-a-kind site in the center of a great American city. This is really hard to come by. And then, Don, we have a shared vision of what we can build here beyond the baseball.
$2 billion in private investment. Where else is that investment come from in terms of other investors?
Yeah, it's 2/3. Yeah, so it's $2 billion. Well, the team will put about. We talked about it as a $1.9 billion stadium project for stadium, office, and infrastructure. We will put. We have plans to put $800 million in. The team does, and then the rest of that investment will come from our private partners here.
Don, will you be
for the development?
Don, will you be donating the stadium ground to the city and then selling other parts of the property to the Royals? Can you explain how that'll work?
I could.
Mechanics of it.
Rich, maybe you want to describe the transaction.
For the stadium land proper, we will convey that to the city, and the expectation that the stadium will be there. We'll lease the stadium and that land back, and then we will be partners in our venture with Hallmark, with the Royals.
So with Hallmark's role, will you have naming rights for this new stadium?
We aren't involved in the stadium per se, other than giving way to it with our headquarters. We're still very committed to the development around the stadium, but we're not owners of the team. We're not owners of the stadium, but we are loving this partnership of all of the area around the stadium, and it's perfectly symbiotic with our vision for what Crown Center has always been about, engaging the city and making this a better community. So we're very excited about the stadium being in this neighborhood and the collaboration that we'll have in building the master plan.
To be clear, the 15 acres is the only part that we would have. We will buy directly as the Royals and contribute that. So that will be the Royals, and then, as Don said, we are partners in the balance.
Who will own the stadium itself?
The city will own the stadium. We would lease it back.
But just to be clear, the Royals will purchase that from the development company, our partnership, and then we will, I don't know what exactly that trend, but we'll contribute it to the city or whatever governmental entity will own it, and then we'll lease that back from it.
That's as part of a public-private partnership. That's our another private piece of the partnership, the land conveyance to the city.
That's some awfully muddy water there at the end, huh?
Basically, here's
what they're making it. Let me tell you what I hear, and you tell me if you heard other things. What I heard there is we're going to buy it from the Halls.
Yep, they're buying their headquarters. They're not buying Crown Center in the western.
Right, they're just buying where that stadium's going to go.
The 15 acres that the stadium's going to sit on.
They're buying that, then they're donating it, and then it was like
conveying it, whatever the word is.
Well, in the partnership, it got very sticky and muddy there as to how that's going to happen. But the connotation, at least to begin, was that they would just then give it to Kansas City, Missouri. Yes. Then they would lease it back from Kansas City, Missouri.
That's how I understand it. So they're going to buy it. I don't know if they're going to buy it for $2 or $10 billion from the Halls. Okay, it's a big building. And it's going to have to come down, and there'll be work, whatever. So they're going to buy it there, and then they use the word convey, whatever. They're going to, in some way, make sure the city gets it. And I asked Mayor Lucas if the city's going to own it or if it's going to. They don't need a sports complex authority. Some government with Kansas City, Missouri, not Jackson County, not the state of Missouri. The Chiefs Stadium is going to be owned by the state of Kansas. The stadiums right now are owned by Jackson County, and they're handled by the Jackson County Sports Complex Authority. This will be owned by Kansas City, Missouri, or some sort of a government entity that's Kansas City, Missouri. Then the Royals will lease it. They'll have an agreement. Hopefully it's not $1 a year. Hopefully it's something worthwhile, and there will be some details there on maintenance, repair, and operation, all those kind of things, right? And then it sounds to me like the Royals aren't going to, like, you're not going to get on the Jackson County Plat viewer in 5 years, and the Kansas City Royals own all these buildings. Maybe there'll be some new LLC or something that is the Royals and Crown Center, or maybe it'll all just be in some sort of partnership that it's 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, whatever the split is, I asked Brooke Sherman afterwards, this was not on tape, but I was just trying to get this part of it down so I kind of understand this. And the Hall family, or whatever the name of their company is, Crown, something.
Crown Development or whatever.
Yeah, they own the hotel. Weston doesn't own that hotel. They have a partnership with Weston.
Weston just manages it.
They manage it.
Yeah.
And and Brooke Sherman's like, that's a great partner. That's someone they want to keep being partners with. They're not, so the Royals aren't going to own that hotel. They're not going to own, I don't think, it'll be some
What the hell
sort
are
of
they going to own?
Well, I think they're going to have some sort of an agreement with the Halls. And what's the split on that? I don't know. You know what I mean? But what we're getting here in this part, like you were asking, where's the stuff? Where's the money?
Where's the money that's going to make it easier for them to have a bigger payroll and be more competitive?
If they have a piece of every room that gets booked at the Westin, then that's a moneymaker, right? And you don't have to build the hotel. It's already there. So I think what they probably like about this is there is some stuff that's already there that you don't have to build.
Well,
Now,
is the hotel like up to?
I have not been in a room there. I was there for.
I was in a room 10 years
draft.
ago, and I'm going to tell you the heating and cooling was a challenge.
Yeah, well, I don't know when the last time it was updated. I'm sure they'll want to get it up to snuff. It's in better shape than the Adams Mark because it's operational. I shouldn't take shots. They're cleaning it up so it doesn't look bad for the World Cup.
Are they really?
Oh yeah, they're cleaning the outside of it so it looks like.
Hose it.
It doesn't look like Walking Dead.
Little power wash.
They're replacing the windows. They're doing things. And then someone, I think, wants to open that at some point. But so that's the gist of this. Now, I don't understand it all yet, okay? But I know, but real quick, do you get the idea that they don't maybe necessarily understand it all yet either? Well, this sounds like it could have been a handshake deal over caviar at the American sometime. Like, all right, let's do this deal, and then it's going to have to get into, all right, well, who's going to get what? If someone, if we lease some office space to someone that's going to overlook the thing, are you going to get a piece and I'm going to get a piece? But like we said, we have 3 pictures and they are not official. Okay. And what we were talking about yesterday, we were one baseball stadium away from what I thought. I thought it was going to be one baseball stadium north. I did not understand they were going to knock down their headquarters. Now,
and dig into the hill.
All those office buildings that are to the north of Hallmark's headquarters, a part of those are Hallmark's headquarters too. They're smaller buildings. They own all of that. They own that 9-10-story building. If you've been down there in a while, there's like a Panera on the first floor. They own that building, right? They own all the parking lots.
The old Hyatt.
I don't think they own the Hyatt. They may.
They do.
They do.
Yeah,
but that's a full block
Sheraton.
north.
Yeah.
That's a block north of what we're talking about here. So
they bought it like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. So. Is that part of the development here? I don't know. I mean, if the Royals get a piece of a room at anything when these guys come from out of town, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
and I think they probably like not having to build every single thing from scratch. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the devil will be in the details.
Yeah.
Because if they don't own anything, the Hall family's the one that's making out. Because now there's 81 baseball games, and those 2 hotels did well for Royals games, I'm sure, because it wasn't that far away. But now that's the spot.
That's the spot. Walk in.
And so 81 nights a year, they figure to be jamming.
And that's what we need to find out.
And teams will stay there too.
And whether or not we need to find out or not. I mean, someone will find out. Like if they're I don't know what the partnership's going to be. Like I said, I think if they're becoming partners, then the Royals will be getting something from the things
the
that go
Halls
on
have
there.
always shied away from owning the sports teams. When we would talk about, who will buy the teams, whenever the Royals were up for sale, they never seemed to want to have anything to do with athletics.
Right.
And so now
this
they're
is
involved.
Kind of involved without having to be involved of that part of it.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. More with Todd Lebo. A little Lebo Sounds brought to you by our friends at Family Leisure. Great Kansas City company, locally owned and operated for more than a quarter century. They got a great sale going on right now, whether you want to get in on some wonderful patio furniture. I bought patio furniture in 2004. It's still fantastic. They got an incredible selection. Great people. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHP. There's extra discounts for 810 listeners, and make sure you ask about the big Family Leisure wellness events, the Sundance Spas. You got a great special going on those as well at Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview.
The program with Soren Petro.
There's 3 idiots sitting here and Lebo walking by.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Voted the number one jewelry store in Kansas City. It's Jocelyn's Jewelry. Mother's Day is right around the corner. Tick, 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 tick. That's coming up. You know what Mom would like? She'd like a beautiful necklace. How about a charm bracelet with all her kids or maybe her grandkids? Maybe it's a mom-to-be. This will be one of the most special Mother's Days she'll ever celebrate. Make sure you commemorate the occasion with a wonderful, beautiful piece of jewelry from Jocelyn's Jewelry. Now, let me tell you something. Let me get you ready for when you walk in the door at Jocelyn's Jewelry. You're going to be treated like family. Now, that may shock you. If all you've done is go to mall jewelry stores, you expected somebody that maybe was, I don't know, picking their nose, hanging out in back, trying to avoid you. Maybe they had no idea about any of the jewelry in there because, you know, they were selling a car 2 weeks before. That's not what you're going to get when you walk into Jocelyn's Jewelry. You're going to get experienced jewelry professionals, real jewelers who know the items. They know what makes them special, what makes them unique. You tell them the price point, they'll give you lots of options at your price point. They've got options at all different price points. And remember, only the finest stones. Gary chooses them himself. Listen, they've been in business for more than 50 years and voted the number one jewelry store for a reason. Incredible customer service, great selection, and, of course, the fairest price ever. He's said it for years, Gary has. He says he doesn't want your money. He wants your business. You know what that means? He wants you to be a customer like me and my family. When we buy jewelry, we go there, whether it's a communion necklace, whether it's a necklace for mom, whether it's diamond earrings, whether it's a gift, whether it's the holidays, you name it, we go to Jocelyn's Jewelry. Get there yourself. They're on the southeast corner of 95th and Antioch. Find them online at jocelynsjewelry.com.
Have you or someone you know been affected by Crohn's disease? BVL Clinical Research is conducting clinical trials to explore new investigational treatment options for adults with moderate to severe Crohn's. Eligible participants are ages 18 to 75 with active Crohn's who have tried treatments that didn't work or caused side effects. BVL's physician-led team offers exceptional study-related care with convenient outpatient visits. Participants can be compensated for time, food, and travel. Learn more at bvlresearch.com.
Ready!
All right, the Twin Peaks, end of the hour answer. Who's the only pitcher to strike out the last 10 batters he faced in a game? Complete game, struck out the last 10.
Kerry Wood?
Sounds like a Nolan Ryan type of thing.
More in Nolan Ryan's era.
Roger
on this date,
Carlton.
On this date in 1970.
1970. Bob Gibson.
Jim Palmer.
Against the Padres.
Against the
Tom
Padres.
Seaver.
I mean, would you give us a second?
Give you five guesses.
Well, I mean, when you
Need
start
six.
leaking out information,
I was trying.
we're getting there.
Come on, Curtis.
Tom Terrific struck out 19. Struck out the last 10 batters of the game. That'll
work.
End things.
That dog will hunt.
Yeah, for sure.
Todd Lebo will hunt for great buys at Family Leisure.
Yes.
As will I. I love it. Going to be out there. Can't wait to get out there. Going to be broadcasting out there. I think it's next week. Come on out and say hello. FamilyLeisure.com. To find them online, you can check out their great line of the wonderful, wonderful spas, hot tubs, pools. Maybe they've got a spool of thread too. I don't know. But definitely got the pools. Great patio furniture. Come check it out right now. They got a great sale going on. Visit Family Leisure. K10 and Ridgeview. Online at FamilyLeisure.com. The spring sale continues. Todd, we continue with the comments of John Sherman, Don Hall Jr., and Brooke Sherman.
Yeah, final chunk here I'll play for you. Sam McDowell asked John Sherman, hey, why did you do all through this stuff with Washington Square Park if this was the plan to start with?
You know, I think if you think about controlling more in terms of that could be a great entrance to the stadium. You know, Don and Hallmark feel very strongly that we preserve a good part of this square here because of the activities that they do here. I mean, another thing great about this partnership, we're going to bring more people to the site, but there's already a lot going on here. You have 300,000 people for your Christmas experience, the other festivals that we have here. So really the objective there, Sam, would be to really incorporate that and make that a gathering area, pregame, postgame, and when we get to the point where we can share a master plan, I think you'll see that creates a great gathering point, and then promenade up to the stadium.
What is your message to the fans who grew up going to the K and are a little sad about this move?
I feel the same way, actually. I love going to the K. There are things that we will miss. I love the K too. But, it's going to be 60 years old at the end of the decade. This is really about modernizing our future. But we'll all miss the day that we play our last game at the K. Everyone will be sad, right? But we will move on and bring that history with us down here to a very exciting place. It's going to prepare us for the 21st century.
Do you think 2030 is still doable? 2030 opening day here?
Our lease is up in 2031. 2030 may be doable. But I think we'll kind of see. We'll be able to talk more about that.
We'll talk more about that soon as we get fully underway.
Any ideas on names yet?
Thank you.
On naming rights?
Yep. No.
We'll have a process.
Yeah, I don't naming.
Who was that? Who was that ushering your way?
TV. Oh, ushering way. They were just done. I don't know who. I don't know who that was.
Was that Brooke Sherman?
Yeah, he was. They were done. They had said one more. Anyway, the important part at the end of that I wanted to get at was, I was asking 2030 because that's what we've been hearing now. Like that's what Mayor Q told you last week, right? And that's what he said again today. We'll see. I wouldn't be betting on 2030 because you never know how construction works and all that stuff. If they shoot for 2030 and they open by 31, that's okay because their lease is fine through 2031 or to the 31 season, 30 season, 31 opening day. So I think if they get in there in 31. Down at this new spot, that would be fine. But if they make it in 30, that would be pretty good. Quick.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a break. We think we got a chance to maybe get the mayor here coming up pretty soon. Todd Lebo's with us. If we don't get the mayor, we'll talk more about the announcement today with Todd Lebo.
If
VP
the mayor's
of Sports
on, I'll
Op.
be gone. I'm sorry. Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe you'll hang around. Maybe you got some questions. Family Leisure, proud to bring you Todd Lebo. Little Lebo Sounds here on a Wednesday. All right, welcome back here on the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Little Lebo Sounds with Todd Lebo, brought to you by our friends at Family Leisure. They're at K10 at Ridgeview. They're online at familyleisure.com. If it involves family, if it involves fun, Family Leisure is where you're going to find it, whether it's an arcade game, whether it's a massage chair, whether it's some patio furniture. You know, we've got the great outdoors opening back up for business. Let's get you some great patio furniture. Watch you some games outside, you know?
Oh, I love watching a game outside. Well, in the screened-in porch. Not all the way outside.
I'll go all the way outside.
Not all the way outside. I like the bugs.
The bugs like you, don't you?
I don't like the bugs.
They
My
like
wife doesn't
you.
like the bugs. That's why we're screened-in porch.
Because you're sweet, Todd.
I am sweet.
That's what we
I'm gonna get
tell.
home and mow the grass today.
That's what we
It's
tell
supposed
the
to rain.
kids.
It's time to mow the grass again.
We tell the kids that you're sweet.
That's right.
That's the problem. You know,
It's what you eat. It's what happens. So yeah, Mayor's supposed to call us here in a few, but my takeaway from this is this has been a long, long process, but it is not over. Okay.
Nope.
As long as we've been talking about this, is about as long as it's going to take to build the stadium. As long as we've really been talking about it. I mean, we went through that exercise a few weeks ago where we played the sound bites and guessed the years, and one of them was from 2019. Now they weren't that serious about but they wasn't that long after that they were investigating this and getting with the Jackson County Legislature and all that stuff. But so think about how long that's been, and we got that much further before watching a baseball game in this stadium. And we're gonna get to see it get built. I think that's awesome to get to watch something get built. I was talking to some guys down there today, and I remember being at the press conference when they broke ground for Sprint Center, T-Mobile Center now, and it was just this blighted street corner, and they had the shovels, and they said this is it, and not on this phone because I don't think I had a phone that took really good pictures back then. I think it had a photograph thing, but on some computer file I have pictures of that day. And then to see what that has become is pretty cool. And so we will get to watch them tear this building down and then build a stadium, and I'm sure we'll get to go on some stadium tours and all that stuff. I think it's exciting.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about it. One of the gentlemen that was instrumental in putting it together, we spoke to him, I guess it's been a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. The mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, Quentin Lucas, joins us here in the program. Mayor Lucas, how are you, sir?
You know what? It's a heck of a day for Kansas City. I'm pretty excited and hope the Royals get a W today. But regardless, it's a great time for KC.
Yeah, absolutely. And we now know where. Let's talk a little bit about the. Let's go ahead and take the victory lap because I do think it is a victory for Kansas City, and then we'll dive into maybe some of the questions. I know the work's not done. There's still more to be done, but it's clear that all the major principals, the people who own the land where it's going, the ball club's ownership. You, Kansas City, Missouri, representing Kansas City, Missouri, and the state of Kansas with the governor all in place, it seems like certainly we're well beyond just saying, well, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you have seen over recent months, and we haven't been able to talk about all of it, but frankly, exceptional work. First of all, between the Royals and Hallmark, I think this is transformative just from a business concept. I mean, if you remove the Royals from the discussion, the fact that Hallmark, a global firm, a brand that everybody knows, is keeping its headquarters in downtown Kansas City is a big deal in and of itself. You add the Kansas City Royals on, you add to that the reimagining of Crown Center, which is a wonderful place, but it's been there for 50-plus years. It's always a good time for updating. I think means that it's transformative. And frankly, I'll go to the fight on the revenues and how we're generating it and fiscal responsibility. The stadium itself, the city's commitment is based on what is generated right now by the Royals. You have a state incentive that's based on largely the same thing. No attack of our general revenues, no sales tax that's countywide or citywide. It makes monetary sense. You got 9,000 parking spaces on site. You have everybody agreeing, shaking hands, people from different political persuasions, different industries. This is development done right. It keeps the Royals in town. It keeps invigorating our downtown Kansas City, which has been a generational project. I think this is transformational for our region, and I am darn proud to have been a part of it.
We're talking to Mayor Lucas here in the program. You mentioned the parking. Is there really, I mean, I don't know what kind of polling or research you guys do, and I know the Royals have heard about it. Do we really think that many people are that worried about the parking, or is it just the people that are quite vocal?
I think that, look, I think everything in Kansas City requires obviously some discussion, and it is a change. It is a change from driving in to the Truman Sports Complex and, seeing all of your parking spots. spots. I'll remind anyone, and Soren, I know you've had to live this life. If you're going on a busy day, though, even for the Royals, let alone the Chiefs, but, I went to a Yankees-Royals playoff game. You go to that, and it's a slog getting out with a full game. And so I think they're getting people used to the fact that garages, surface lots, public transportation, all the different opportunities that get you there are still okay, is going to be something that we'll continue to message. And I respect the people of Kansas City, and I think it's fine to make that message. But at my core, I say this. If my friends from the St. Louis Cardinals fan base, people from Jefferson County, St. Louis County, St. Charles, all of that, they can figure it out. If they can figure out a way to fill up a stadium sometimes when they're playing well, I'm sure we can too. And I think that the proximity of the parking at Hallmark and Union Station, which is another 3,000, is going to make it all right.
Was that last one there for in case the governor's driving out of town to kind of hear that shot across the bow of the Cardinals? When they,
I can say it now since he's gone, but I know he's a Cardinals guy. But
Yeah.
I think that pretty soon here we're going to have, I think, one of the best baseball fan experiences in the country. Obviously, you have legacy stadiums like Fenway and Wrigley. I've been blessed to be at both. Those are really cool experiences. But when you look at what we are talking about building, this isn't just abandoning a tradition and building some cookie cutter. This is instead something that I think will be dynamic, that's interesting, that is in a part of the city that we have poured investment in, that people know. Union Station, World War I Museum, Liberty Memorial. And I think Kansas Cityans are going to grow to love it like they love everything else around there.
All right, Soren, Petro, Talibo here. We're talking to Mayor Lucas as the Royals have announced their new home.
So, Mayor Lucas, I asked you today who's going to own the stadium. It's the city or some sort of entity. And then we asked, Brooke Sherman used the word like conveyance or whatever. They're going to buy this 15 acres, and they're going to, do they give that to the city? What is that process to where the city owns it?
Yeah, the technicality is that, the city will continue to own. It is just the way we do sports stadiums in Missouri as compared to some other spaces, although I think the Chiefs deal is looking at the same structure. That is because of taxes and all of that. It's highly technical, but in its simplest sense, the city of Kansas City or an agency will own the facility. Our plan at present is not to create anything like the Jackson County Sports Complex Authority or even the new Chiefs Authority in Kansas. The city already owns an arena at T-Mobile Center. We have a private operator. CPKC Stadium kind of has a similar relationship. That's owned by the Kansas City Current. We've liked this system. We think it allows us to have a strong relationship. And as much as I love politicians and bureaucrats and all of that, I'm not sure if we need more. So the deal we're going to try to strike with the Royals, and I think this has been discussed a lot, is a way that they manage the team. They take care of the things. They keep up the parks nearby. And, we help facilitate the construction of a new baseball stadium.
So, is it conveyance like you have to pay for it? Or they pay,
and is that part of the $600 million?
It is, is the value of all of that is kind of part of what the development agreement is. But no, we won't pay for any part of it.
Okay.
And they probably they'll pay the Hallmark something for it.
Yeah.
They're not paying us for the kind of financing fees relating to
Well,
it.
but you just said they're not paying us. I just want to be clear about the question, just so it's because it was very. I use this term with time. I said it was muddy. The answers that we got from Brooke Sherman, John Sherman, and Don Hall Jr. It is. I'll just be sorry to be blunt and direct. That's why I wanted the victory lap first. And then Todd's like, "Oh no, let's jump in here and get to the nitty gritty." I was going to try to ease into it. I'm a couple of drinks first. Maybe like that kind of thing. But it is a good one. I think it is important. Just to be blunt though. Is Kansas is part of that $600 million going to be paying the Royals? Are going to buy it from the Hall? The development company, what have you, and then is part of that $600 million in the purchase of the land that they will then lease back, or no? Is the $600 million all going into actual building things?
It is going into building things. So the way that you tend to get a government incentive is that we'll issue bonds. They can use it, but that is for construction of a stadium, for infrastructure primarily, to do the work of what a stadium is. We are not, as a city, buying a part of Crown Center. We're not, as a city, helping to finance what is, at its purest, a real estate transaction between very successful business people and John Sherman and Don Hall and their entities. Instead, what we're doing is making sure we can help facilitate a stadium. But no, we are not buying an interest in Crown Center.
Okay, and I want to be clear. I think certainly everyone in this room, we like where we're going. We like this plan. We like what's happening. So as I ask these questions, it's not to try to be like, oh my God, I understand. We also understand how business gets done, and people think like, oh, any money going to the ball clubs, that there aren't deals and tax incentives that are given to every kind of business that not. For many businesses out there, that's part of how business gets done when it's out there. But when did this all come together? That was another thing that seemed to be something that John Sherman and Don Hall Jr. did not really want to answer on when this actually where it's going. We've heard about Washington Square Park for a while, and it was definitely being talked about. And I talked to people that Washington Square Park was definitely being talked about as where the physical structure would go. When did it become that it was going to go south of that and south of Crown Center? When did that begin to take shape?
I think it has come together fairly recently from what I know, and of course those guys are going to have the better details. They had a lot of discussion about what a transaction might look like, what type of arrangement it would be, what are the legal rights, and I'm sure, and this is something I'm not privy to, what type of money needs to be exchanged within it. For the conspiracy theorists who kind of say, this has been cooked for 6 months and 7 months and they've hidden it from us for any who knows what reason, that's not my experience at all, certainly not the perspective of Kansas City. We were working our best to say, and really for some time, right, we built out a deal that said, if you stay in Kansas City, this is what we can build. Same thing the state of Kansas did with Star Bonds, the same thing that I think North Kansas City and others were trying to pull out. And so what we did was that, as we got more to spaces, the city of Kansas City has shared over recent weeks and times that, the more we know about where it's going to be, the more we can build out a financial model that works with it. And I think it's fair to say that very recently we learned more about this whole Crown Center idea. That's why it became part of the legislation that I introduced last week and got passed, but it certainly wasn't the only part of it. Right. And I'm just glad that they had something up their sleeves. This is one time I think it's good. I think it actually does make a lot of sense, particularly the more people think about it. But, yeah, it is very fair to say that despite the fact this is a conversation that's lasted for years, I do not think that they had this plan 2 years ago and just wanted us to twist and turn and think about every site in the whole region for the last 2 years.
We're talking to Kansas City, Missouri Mayor Quinton Lucas here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Mayor Lucas, tell me the revenue generators. We heard... the original, maybe inspiration, besides just that there was a lease that was going to be expired, was that by moving and controlling a lot more land, that things could be built. We heard this with the Chiefs as well. Things could be built around that would generate revenue for the ball club, that the ball club could then put back into the payroll and help the team stay competitive. But of what we saw, which I understand are conceptual drawings only, I don't see a whole lot of places that are unless the Royals are buying out this entire area, I don't see where there are a lot of new revenue generators for the Royals to be generating money to put back into the ball club.
What I would say is this, that I think that the revenue generators actually kind of exist from the complex itself. So not all of the office will be torn down, and you have a commercial district. You still got a law firm to the south with, I think, 300 or 400 lawyers, and then all the support staff that work with them. You continue to have office occupancy in buildings just north and all around Crown Center Square. That is a steady source of revenue that, distinct from new projects, is actually from day one, you're able to capture that revenue that goes back into building the project. So you have actually a decent amount of commercial office. Across the street, you have the retail at Crown Center, which, look, it is going to be rejuvenated. It can generate more, but that already kind of gives you some to start building out at least what the model is. You will look, to the extent that you need to go further, to some other spots very adjacent to it in downtown. And I think the benefit of being in the downtown district as compared to building in Greenfield, which is real estate and government speak for empty fields on the edge of town, that's kind of the west of the Legends sheep discussion, is that you don't have to draw as big of a district. And so, we have done a lot of work to build out and model where is commercial activity happening now, where can we estimate good governmental revenues, where do we think they'll grow near the footprint, and Crown Center provides a lot of that. Southern downtown does too, and frankly, the density works in our favor in trying to make sure we can get this done.
Yeah, and you think accurate 2/3 will be private investment on the total cost? Okay.
And I don't think anything's all written and signed yet, but all overruns to the team, cost overruns, or
Well, the plan right now is all cost overruns to the team. I mean, you're absolutely right. It is not all signed and completed yet. That being said, our anticipation, and I'll say this about the Royals. This has been one of the fairer deals that I have seen in a while. I mean, you are catching a lot of teams. I'm friends with the mayor of Oklahoma City. I'm friends with the governor of Kansas. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about the deals that we have seen of late, and I think that what we have laid out in Kansas City, while I will never undervalue the investment of the taxpayers, that's important. It is key. But I think that, if someone were to ask you, are we going to take into the cleaners, are we going to cover all cost overruns, are we going to do all of that? The answer is no. The Royals have put a lot more into it than I think any of us probably imagined at the beginning. I think Crown Center, in their view, is a vehicle by which they can make great revenues long term, and I look forward to helping them do that.
All right, and then last thing before I give you the Final Four, and that's Phase 1, Phase 2. We heard John Sherman talk about this being Phase 1. Phase 1 is the ballpark, and so does Phase 1 have to be completed before we start Phase 2, or could we see Phase 1 get going, and then I assume Phase 2 is all the ancillary stuff and any other ancillary construction that's going to go on around it. Could that get started before the ballpark is done?
The story of the phases is just how much debt can you take on. I think that if there are good financial models and the Missouri and Kansas City incentives are pretty front-ended, so you're able to, kind of work with some good investments from the jump, I think that both of those, the story is that, yes, you can get things moving, and I hope that means that we're seeing Phase 1 and Phase 2 accomplished quickly. I think this project is a lot more CPKC Stadium-esque, where you had a soccer stadium that opened, 2 seasons ago. And, of course, now you have $1 billion of development pretty quickly. I think it is a lot more like that than perhaps something that's going to take us, 2.5 generations to ever see built out.
All right, we're talking to Mayor Lucas here in the program. Final Four time. I'll start you with this. Last time you tailgated was when?
At a baseball game.
Last time I tailgated was I did tailgate this Chiefs season. I forget which game exactly. I went to the Chiefs Christmas game, though, so I think I probably walked around a little bit then.
Okay.
If it counted as a full tailgate, not sure.
And Royals, last Royals tailgate?
Ooh. Now, my last Royals tailgate, actually, no, opening day. I caught up with some buddies in front, and so that's usually like a big one.
Okay.
I don't get to Royals tailgate that much, though.
Okay. Tell me, you still holding, the plan, the ideal situation is to get started in first quarter of 27?
Absolutely. First quarter 2027. We're still planning to, rock and roll and try to get to a opening day 2030 date. That's tough, but, we're ready to do the work.
Okay. And have you ever skated on the Crown Center rink?
I have skated in the Crown Center rink. That was my baller date back when I was probably in my teens and 20s. Tried to impress some girls back in the day. My wife and I ain't been out there for a while because if I fall, it's a little different now.
Yeah, there you go. Let me tell you something. Fatty here ain't skating. Hadn't been for a long time. Not going to happen. All right, and finally, can we get some kind of language in there that we're not going to use any of the cancer concrete we've heard about at Kauffman Stadium? Can we put something in there on that?
Man, we are using the Liberty Memorial 1926 concrete.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Pendergrass concrete.
Concrete 1914. Yeah, that classic Pendergrass stuff.
Yeah.
We'll make sure this is the stuff that people know and remember forever.
All right, Mayor Lucas, thanks so much for the time. Congratulations. I know there's still work to be done, but another big hurdle cleared, and congratulations on that.
Hey, man, huge day for Kansas City in Missouri and Kansas, all of us. We're keeping our baseball team. We're keeping our football team. Frankly, I think this is good news, and we get to just talk sports again instead of the business of it.
I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Take care, guys.
All right, there he goes, Mayor Lucas. I would agree. I think it's great. It's a long time ago. I asked Kurtis, hey, when would somebody talk about, like, one in Kansas, one in Missouri? When was the last time? Yeah, it's 2006.
Yeah.
We were doing renovations.
Yes.
And now here it is. It's come to fruition 20 years later, and I think it is best for the region. I am very excited to see the final renderings. I mean, I do think that's going to be important.
The real master plan.
They need to hit it out of the ballpark. We've got great sports architecture firms here. I think people want to see something really impressive.
And we're going to, over the next 5 years, get to drive around 2 different spots in our town and just watch this thing be built.
Yeah.
Every time I go by those places now, I think, what's it going to look like 3 years from now?
I agree. Grundy's next if he'll get here.
All right, since 1970, how many running backs have the Chiefs taken in the first round of the draft? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Coach, pain in the ass. He's done it all on the gridiron from South Bend to Arrowhead. From football on the radio, back to football, then more radio, then a little more football, and now radio again. It's Chiefs Hall of Famer Tim Grunhard on the program.
Brought to you by The Plumbing Pro. When you really need a plumber, the one to know is The Plumbing Pro. Visit them online at theplumbingpro.com.
That's right, Tim Grunhard here with us in the program. Always brought to you by our friends at The Plumbing Pro. The one to know is the plumbing pro. If you've got a problem with, flushing, maybe the drain working, maybe the shower isn't working, can't do a load of laundry, it's going to be problems. It's going to be big problems. The one to know is the plumbing pro. Steve and his great team since 1980. Still, unlike a lot of places that still have the same name, aren't still locally owned and operated. Steve and his crew, still the ones you're calling when you call the plumbing pro.
Yeah, I just called them. I'm not sure if this is something they want to do, but they did it for me, and I'm sure they probably do it for you. But, we had a backup in our gutters going down underground. The pipes, had to get filled up with leaves, and you're trying to get the leaves out and all that stuff, and it was packed in there. And they came over, and they had this camera, and they looked, and they found the blockage, and they were able to drain that out. Now, that was a lot of work, and I'm not sure if they do that for everybody, but if you need that, give them a call.
Yeah.
Because, the last thing you want is your gutters to back up. And this time of the year, you got all those, like, from the oak trees, all those little,
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
those things, whatever they are, they just pack
helicopter
up.
Things.
Yeah, and there's also, like, this fluffy little type of.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Looks kind of like that. Looks like one strand of a top of a wheat stalk.
That's exactly
Yes.
it. And there's just millions of them, and they just clog everything up. And the last thing you want is the water to be seeping down in your foundation. Next thing you know, you're fixing your foundation. So little things like that are just huge. Steve does a wonderful job. You give him a call. They got great people.
Yep.
Every time they come over, just feel very comfortable with them coming around, just kind of milling around the house.
You know whose voice I hear, though, every time you say the one to know is a plumbing pro? Griggs.
Griggs?
Oh, Bill Grigsby.
Yeah.
Did he do commercials?
Oh,
for
yeah.
plumbing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did.
No, it's the plumbing pro.
Oh.
Yes, I still hear it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. That tells you how long they've been locally owned and operated. And Bill Grigsby was sending you that direction. And by the way, I've said it a number of times. Thank you, Tim, because we had a different plumber in our house that back in the day was locally owned and operated. And then the service started going to crap, and I'm like, what happened here? And I finally looked it up a few years ago and found out they'd sold out like 5 years before. And I was like, okay, this is why it sucks. And not the case now. It's great. So thank you, Tim.
He's a first-round draft choice. You like that? You like how we kind of slipped it in?
Segue is what that is,
A
Tim.
little over 24 hours to the NFL draft, which we've been talking about a lot longer this year than years before, because the Chiefs didn't make the playoffs, and the Chiefs have a chance to make a splash with 2 first-round draft choices. There's only 5 teams, right? 5 teams with 2 picks in the first round?
Chiefs, Giants, Jets, Dolphins, and Cowboys?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Chiefs have an opportunity to make some great picks and help this team to get back to where we all want them to be, and that's obviously making the playoffs and making a run there. So,
all right, let's start with your favorite position then. Let's start with the offensive line.
Yeah,
I want to
sure.
ask you about the reports coming out that Maui Noah, what's it, Francis Maui Noah, maybe had a herniated disc in his back. There was a report that said teams are. It may not be a problem right now. Surgery would put him out, 3 or 4 months, I think was the estimate. Some teams are worried whether or not he needs it now, but other teams say he doesn't need it now, but that he might need it at some point. What does that do for you as far as, we always talk about the real first-round picks. Does that injury now say, he slides down like, okay, maybe at 29, but not at 9?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have a lot of ways they can go with 9, and then obviously 29. I do think they're going to look for an offensive tackle. And that's kind of what I've slated now.
At
29.
At 29. Okay.
Yeah. Listen. I don't like back injuries and core injuries for offensive linemen. I just don't like it, and I just don't think that that's something you want to get yourself into, where all of a sudden, you're out there and you get a bull rush, or you move awkwardly, trying to, work a zone block, and the next thing you know, you're off for 3 or 4 months, or maybe even longer. You have to have a surgery. I always think of John Alt. John Alt battled through bad backs most of his career, especially towards the end. And just watching him go through all the different PT and everything else that he had to go through for the back just to go out there and play. And then there were games when you could watch him out there and you knew he wasn't even close to 100%. He was an unbelievable athlete with great length and could play the position. Hurt, but it was painful to watch him do it. So if there's a red flag of a back injury, I don't know all the logistics. I read that too. I don't know exactly what it is, if it's something that they're really, really concerned of. He went through all the team doctors, and it didn't seem like that was a point of emphasis after the combine. But, it's reared its ugly head. I would probably stay away 29. There's some other options you could do.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think is interesting is did it come up because, is it just getting out there now, but everybody's known it? Are the people who are trying to double check on their mock drafts and are now finally getting a chance to talk to some of the teams who maybe are starting to wrap up some of their prep, have a little time to take some phone calls, return some texts, are going, well, he's got the back injury. Oh, okay. And he's never been as high as some of the people have been projecting him. I mean, we did a mock draft on our Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, and I took him 3 to the Cardinals because I think he's one of the safer picks if he's healthy.
Absolutely. And then there's also some teams that are playing games, too, that are saying, hey, listen, they're probably leaking this out because some of maybe the top 5 or top 6 teams want to draft the kid. So they're saying, hey, listen, he's got some injuries, so that maybe somebody is turned off, just like us. Now we're sitting around saying, well, maybe I wouldn't take him if he's got this back injury. I am telling you, the worst thing you possibly have as an offensive lineman is a back injury. It's worse than a knee. It's worse than, a shoulder. It's worse than, elbows and those kind of joints. The back is so important. The core is so important when it comes to offensive line play. Everything you do, it basically comes from that core of the punch, the dry blocks, the combination blocks, everything you do. It's almost like having a rotator cuff issue as a pitcher, or the elbow injury as a quarterback. You just don't want to mess with that. So that concerns me. And I've heard a lot of people saying also, because of his size and because of some of the things he does, that they may move him inside. I don't think the Chiefs need that. Chiefs need a guy who's going to be a lengthy offensive tackle.
The conversations I heard definitely early in the process were all about tackle for him. And so the guard thing, to me, is a little bit...
It's popping up. I've seen it at different sites, too.
Yeah, I have, too. And I'm not sure where that's coming from. I wonder if that's, maybe a little sandbagging of what's going on. What about Jordan Tyson? How much does the injury history of him? He's now been cleared. He's had a workout. Everybody said he looked explosive and what they wanted to see. But in successive years, he's had a broken collarbone, an ACL, and a hamstring. Is that just a guy with some bad luck, or is it the reality that his body just has a hard time holding up to the rigors of playing high-level football?
I'm rooting for the kid. I hope that he has a great career, and if he's get drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, I think he'd be a dynamic vertical threat for him who you can catch the deep ball. The Chiefs need that. They need to, like we talked about last week, I always talk about what is the fuel for the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, and that's space. Space is that fuel that fuels the offense, and they don't seem to be able to create space for some of the guys they have. They need a deep threat. I would do my homework big time on this guy. I still think he's going to be a top 10 pick. There's a lot of buzz about him right now, and teams don't seem to be too worried about that. But there are players that just are injury prone, and that's something you have to be concerned with. You want to get your bang for your buck when it comes to the draft, especially when you're drafted in the top 10. The last thing you want to do is bring a guy in and then find out that he's got injury issues. He can't play with, there's a difference between pain and injury. I heard that all the time in my career. You're going to play in pain. That's part of the deal, right? There's always going to be some aches and pains, bumps and bruises you're going to have to play through. But if you're a guy that's injured all the time, you can't make the team in the tub is always the line. And if a guy's going to be in the training room and can't be healthy and can't be on the field and can't help you to make that move and make that transition to hopefully a playoff team, then I'd stay away from him also.
All right, one more. Caleb Banks had a broken bone in his foot. The defensive tackle from Florida, 6'6", 320, definitely looked Spagnuolo-ish when it comes to that. Had a broken bone in his foot early in the season last year, and then broke the same bone in his foot at the combine. Now, they say it's just a hairline fracture. It's not that serious. At least that's what he's been quoted as saying.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that big who's broken the same bone twice, is that I mean, is this a guy like, to me, I think either someone's going to be real confident about his medicals, and we're going to see him go kind of like, what's his name from the defensive tackle for the Titans who had the ACL injury at the Senior Bowl, Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons ended up getting up into the teens. Right, and they knew he was going to miss a year, but they're like, he's that good. I don't know. Banks
and he's been that good.
Yeah, and he has been since he got healthy. Yeah, I don't know that Banks is that is as good as that. So I think somewhere in the 20s, if somebody thinks he's going to be healthy. If they don't, I think he might be there in the third round. Like if you're like, this is a chronic injury, that he's going to be breaking that bone all the time. I know you're not a doctor. I'm not asking you to and all these teams will have their doctors that give them medical reports.
Although it would be entertaining to hear you try to break it down medically.
Have you watched The Pit?
I watched the first episode. My wife said it's too intense for her. She couldn't watch it anymore. So I'm not watching it.
What do you?
I watched it. I loved it.
Do you have a pair? Like you can't watch it on your own?
No, she didn't want to watch it. So.
She keep the remote in her purse?
I decided to go with all my Taylor Sheridan shows. I've been watching them. So
you just keep the remote in her purse?
Yeah. So she keeps a lot of things of mine in her purse.
Whoops.
Whoa.
Whoops. So, but talking about Caleb Banks to get off of this subject.
What?
You know.
You know.
My first my wallet and then everything else. But Caleb Banks, 6'6", 327-pound behemoth. Here's kind of fits into what we just talked about though, with pain and injury. I think that this is more of a pain that he has to play through than an injury. If you did an X-ray on most offensive and defensive linemen, and most football players, you'd find some kind of cracks or some kind of chip or some kind of deal in the foot or in the hand or in the elbow or even in the shoulders. Listen, I've had 2 shoulder replacements, a hip replacement, and a knee replacement. So, you could play through those and you're going to obviously, it's going to cause pain, but he obviously played through the pain. So it's not particularly an injury for him. I think it's just a painful thing that he has to play through. And the trainers do such an unbelievable job nowadays with the PT and then also just the taping of the foot, where they could tape the foot in a certain way with certain, certain support that you could play with a fracture in your foot. And obviously he did that. This is a big man. This is a guy that would fit unbelievably in Spags' system. Not to give away the bank. I don't know if we're going to go through our draft picks and all those kind of things, but I have him, the Chiefs taking him 40 in the draft with this in the second round if he's there. I think he fits perfectly in what the Chiefs need. They need a big, physical, long guy to get in there and play inside next to Chris Jones. Chris Jones is getting older. Chris Jones is getting a little bit slower. Chris Jones doesn't have quite the effect that he's had over the years, and they're paying him a lot of money. So now you got to go out and find somebody to take the pressure off of Chris Jones, take a little bit of the attention off of Chris Jones, so maybe he doesn't get double teamed as much. Chris Jones needs to get to a point where they either have a defensive end or they have another defensive tackle that's going to take some of the attention away from him and get him a little bit more in singled up one-on-one situations where he can start winning again, because he just doesn't have it in him to win consistently against a double team, and that's basically why his production's dropped off.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think you put it really well. I mean, I think he's not what he used to be, but he can still be more than what he's appeared to be here of late if they can get to where he's not double teamed all the time.
Absolutely.
Because I'll be honest with you, not a lot of effort comes from Chris Jones when he gets the double team.
Yeah, and because listen, it gets frustrating. It's I know we got baseball. I loved your segment, you guys talking to the mayor and talking about the new stadium and the Royals obviously lost the game today, which kind of a bummer. But it's like that left-handed batter that every time he goes up to the plate, they throw a lefty at him. And after a while, you just get frustrated. It's like, your batting average against a lefty is 124, but against a righty, you're batting, 300. And, they know that, so they keep on throwing that lefty at your star player, and he can't produce as well against the lefty. It's the same thing with a defensive tackle, a guy like Chris Jones, when the center and the guard are double teaming you over and over and over and over again. Eventually, you just get frustrated, and part of the frustration is just shutting it down, because why am I going to fight against this and waste my energy when I just can't get anything done against these two guys? And that's just, I think that's the world that Chris Jones is living in. That's why either Bain at the first pick, if he's there, or, the kid from Texas Tech, Bailey, is there, which I don't think he's going to be there. But they have to get somebody on that defensive line that's going to take a little bit of the pressure off of Chris Jones and the attention off of Chris Jones and let him have some one-on-one battles with some guys. I think he can still win those.
Tim Grunhard is with us, football insider, life coach, all-around swell guy. He's also in the Chiefs Hall of Fame. We'll talk more draft with Tim Grunhard coming up next here in the program.
All right, the La Feta Delicatessen, end of the hour answer. Since 1970, how many running backs have the Chiefs taken in the first round?
Since 1970? Well, hapless Ethan Hapless Horton. The real deal, Greg Hill.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it
Harvey Williams?
Harvey was first rounder from LSU, right?
Horton was a running back. They don't list him.
They list him as a tight end, but he was drafted as a running back. But I'll let you take him off the board.
Okay.
It's fine. However you want to do it, because I've listed him. I gave it both ways, and I asked a question on Chumps for that way. I'm like, they list him at tight end, but he was actually drafted as a running back.
Harvey Williams.
Harvey Williams, the real deal,
born
Greg
on
Hill.
this date. Greg Hill.
Yeah, we mentioned Horton. Paul Choo Palmer.
Paul Palmer, 87.
Clyde Edwards.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Good
2020.
job, Tim. That's 5. There's somebody. Tony Reed go? He was second round, I think. There's another one, though. There's some guy who sucked.
There were 2 guys
Sucky
early on who
McSuck
sucked,
a lot.
and one guy who did not suck. Who was really, really good.
Oh, Garrett?
No, Mike Garrett was actually a really late
Yeah, this
round
is
pick
in
because
70.
nobody thought that they'd be able to sign him.
Oh, really?
So no one in the AFL took him. So he's like, people are, Mike Garrett was I'm like, he was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
He went that late, but you pick up a history book.
Yeah.
They were. Everyone was convinced he was going to go to the NFL. No one took him.
One of my
to the AFL.
favorite guys, even though he's a USC guy and was USC AD. We're very good friends. He is a wonderful person. Donates his time to Rockhurst, coaching football.
Larry Johnson.
2003.
And who are the 2 crappy ones?
The 2 crappy ones, 1972 out of Nebraska, Jeff Kinney went number 23.
Okay.
His career rushing, 1,200 rushing.
Later on, his brother Bill Kenny came to the
No, this was Kinney, Kinney. And in
all the same to Tim.
Yeah.
2 years later, they took.
Didn't you see that tweet?
Woody Green out of Arizona State, who at one point he was the first Chief.
Woody Green,
outside of like the Super Bowl teams, a guy to actually have his name be on the front of Sports Illustrated. There's, I guess, 74 was the year of the runner and the running backs, and his face. Him sitting there in his Chiefs uniform on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Wow. He was a first-round draft choice in 74, maybe the best draft in the history of the NFL.
By the Steelers.
Yeah.
By the Steelers and other teams.
And
a lot of great players came out, and the Chiefs
sounds
got this guy.
Sounds like the Chiefs and others helped the Steelers.
Yes.
By drafting the Boober. Did we name them all then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And how many was it?
Well, I had 7. I had 7, but there were, counting Paul Palmer, or counting Ethan Horton, there were 8.
Ethan Hapless Horton was what our fellow season ticket holders dubbed him as we sat out there and watched the abysmal early 80s.
Who was the guy in the early to mid 80s that everybody always wanted to play? Was it Paul Palmer? Who was it?
Well, Paul Palmer was here right before you.
Herman
they drafted
Hurd.
Paul Palmer in the first and
was
Christian Okoye in the second.
Yeah. Okay.
But Palmer ended up being just like a kick returner. They thought he was going to be the catch it out of the backfield.
I just remember somebody.
Was it a running back?
I thought it was a running back, or maybe
Herman Hurd.
I don't know. That maybe was number 44.
That was Herman Hurd.
Yeah, that was it. Everybody
Second
always
round pick
wanted.
out of Colorado
put him in,
State.
put him in, and they never did.
Yeah.
By the way, 5 picks after Woody Green, the Steelers took Lynn Swann. Just be curious.
Another tremendous USC AD.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Mike had a couple issues at USC as the AD.
Tim Grunhard is with us. Never had an issue.
Never.
No issues whatsoever.
Nope.
With Tim Grunhard.
No
Doesn't have
issue.
a watch either. We know that.
No, I
That
got
or
a
a
watch.
calendar.
It's better to be early than late.
The watch, the watch is the time.
It's not like you guys aren't. You guys aren't right.
No,
on
I mean
the
like a
front of
calendar, like a calendar on your phone where you put your calendar so you know what time.
It is on there.
It's
on at 3 o'clock.
Well,
That's
change
the reason
it.
why.
This is the second time you did this, though.
But I thought that was a special.
We thought the first time he's like, well, he won't do that again.
Well, I'm not going to do it again now. I promise you that.
Is this when we start going? Hey,
maybe
it's time to
yeah.
Maybe we'll check in on Timmy.
You know.
I'll add Grunny to my text list. Just to make sure.
Just no,
not yet, Tim.
Kyle,
don't leave yet.
Kyle,
right now, it's just Frank Bull.
Kyle, you and I have a nice little system going. Just leave it alone.
Okay.
All right, I'll be here at 4 o'clock. Damn it.
Excellent.
Frank's like, what?
Frankie boy.
Why am I catching strays?
Oh,
shots at Frank out of
Frank just shows up at noon. And just hangs around
that's
all
usually
day.
what happens to me.
Frank has
get
no
shot.
idea. That is true. Frank has no idea what time he's on. He just rolls in here about 11:30 to make sure he's completely covered. You know? Why are you here so early? Well, I don't know. I couldn't remember. Are we taping?
I don't know
Are we
whose
going
show
live?
we're on.
Am I opening the show? 3? I don't
on
know.
the zone. I
I'm here.
have no idea.
You know? I'm here. Reporting for duty. Ready to go. What's your dream draft, Tim? Give me at least the first 3 picks. You mentioned you had Caleb Banks going 40.
I do.
Who goes at 9?
Well, at 9, so this is the interesting one because I think the whole draft will kind of be predicated on who they take at 9. So
interesting.
I think Reuben Bain.
So no best player available.
We're
drafting needs.
Well, I do. I think that they're going to take the best player available, which will take a bite out of the needs that they need later on in the draft. So.
Okay.
I think that Reuben Bain is certainly somebody they need a good pass rusher, maybe the best.
So that's the guy at 9?
Yeah, that's who I'd take at 9, but he may be gone. So if he's gone, then I would go with one of the wide receivers, whether it's Carnell Tate or the guy we were talking about. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Tyson?
Jordan Tyson from
Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan.
And then from that point is okay. So after that,
but Bain, we're talking about the dream scenario. So the dream for you is Bain.
Yeah, Reuben Bain at 9, and then
29.
And then at 29, I'm going with an offensive tackle. I've been looking at this kid from Arizona and
Arizona State,
and
what's his name?
It is Eao Shore.
I think it's Iachinor.
Iachinor.
What's his first name?
Max.
No, you nailed
We're
it.
just going to call him Max.
There you go.
Max. How do you say it? You say it.
I thought it was Iachinor, but I'm going to check.
I have it right here. I have it pronounced Eao Hanshore. Ehanshore. Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
E-I-E-I-O.
Yeah. Pronounce it.
You know
I want to hear
pronounce it? You want to know really how they pronounce it?
Yeah, how do you pronounce it?
Munga.
No, how do you pronounce it? I want to hear you pronounce it.
I don't know. I'm not looking. I'd have to look
Yeah,
at
you
it
have to
and give it
look.
a shot.
Hang on,
now give me a second.
It's spelled I-H-E-A-N.
I gotta see
A-C-H-E-R.
I don't need you rambling off a machine gun barrage of letters at me.
Iachinor is what I...
Iachinor.
They're going to draft him because I can't say it. So that's usually the way it works.
You got Suamata Ia pretty quickly.
Because we laid it out for him for 3 weeks.
It took me a couple weeks, but I got it.
Yeah.
And I'll get this kid if they draft him too. But
the best will be when you struggle with Monroe Freeling.
or Reuben Bain.
I should be okay with
I
that
think
one.
Friedling's going to be pretty. You'll add a D in there or a T.
Reuben Bain.
So my pick is it's probably going to go with the Proctor kid out of Alabama. I like him. I think he's a physically dominating player who excels in the run game.
Oh.
And at right tackle, I think it's important in this offense.
When are you on New Day again?
Oh, is that who they like?
Well, no, I just answer the question. Stop trying to figure out where I'm going. They're going to take a dump on you.
Are they?
Well, they don't like Proctor.
No. What do
they think Proctor's a gamble.
What the hell they know? They think Proctor's a gamble. And then Monroe Freeling is another guy that so the perfect draft would go with an offensive tackle at the 29. Here's the reason why, real quick, and then I know you're going to.
So Proctor's your guy.
So I'm going to go with Proctor.
And then Caleb Banks at 40?
Caleb Banks at 40.
Okay.
And there's a pretty big drop-off at the offensive tackle position after the first 4 or 5 guys. And if the Chiefs want to get a guy that they can bring in and solidify this offensive line, which I think Andy Reid wants to do, both in the pass game to give Patrick Mahomes a little bit more time when he comes back off an injured knee, and also when you went out and you got a running back like Walker, one of the thing I like about Max from Arizona State is that he's a really good zone blocker. Watching some of the film on him, he does a really good job of getting his head across defensive ends and power driving guys out. He does a nice job of getting to the second level. He struggles a little bit in pass protection, which you can afford a little bit of struggle at the right tackle position. I mean, not a lot. He's just a little top heavy. He's got his feet aren't the best in pass protection, but he's a big, strong guy.
This is Max?
Max,
okay.
Yeah. So I went Proctor because I think he's a safe bet. I think he's listen, he played at Alabama in the SEC, played against a bunch of really good football players. But I don't want to get caught in semantics.
You're saying Proctor is not a gamble?
I don't think he is.
I get it. I do. Does one of us have to acknowledge that we
Yes.
get it?
Yeah.
Before
it'd be
you
nice.
just keep firing it?
It would be nice.
So that therein lies.
I got it the first time. I thought it just let those of us that got it enjoy it.
yeah.
I
It's
didn't
like
think
no
we
one-
needed to
Well,
draw a diagram and explain it to those that don't. Procter and Gamble is a company.
I need reinforcement.
Curtis, you can go ahead and delete that tweet.
I actually just posted. I said Procter and Gamble, and no one got it. Sad face.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I got it the first time. I was
know.
like, we're just going to let it marinate.
Because you talked about New Day having an issue with him as a gamble, and I thought, well, I think
go,
he's
so-
just
so you're
reiterating
saying
that.
Procter's a gamble. And I went, that's gold.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, that is comedy gold.
And then
You guys are funny.
blank
At least
stares.
funny to each other. I mean,
I got it.
I know.
I just didn't think we needed to, like I said, diagram the joke.
We all need to be fluffed every
so
once in a while.
at 9,
Don't we? Don't we all?
I know I do.
to continue through this conversation.
Anyway, go ahead, Tim.
Tim
Tim's
keeps trying to talk football.
I'm just trying to
over
talk
here.
football here. I only get about 15, 20 minutes here. And I've been driving all over town trying to get here on.
He's had this stuff ready.
I've been
To get here on
since-
time twice.
I got here on time twice. I got here at 3, and then went and visited my mom, and came back, and I'm here again.
Yeah.
And now you guys are
long
talking about.
visit with your mom. Wow.
You know what? It was perfect.
Glad you had 5 minutes for
Hi,
her.
Mom.
I
See ya.
had 20 minutes, perfect amount of time. We had a very nice conversation, and
See ya.
she's listening right now. So hello, Mom. I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy our visit. But I think
Wedged you in between his trip to Sonic and,
Sonic was
and
before,
bitching at us about his inability to tell time.
Sonic was before
3
the
o'clock
3
was
o'clock.
a real treat. The change over to Lebo was a real treat while Tim's pouting around about
I was
what do
not
you mean,
pouting around.
4?
I was not pouting around. Listen. I swallowed it and just continued on with my day. But so Ruben Bain, I like at the defensive end position at 9. I like an offensive tackle at 29. I like Caleb Banks, a defensive tackle. Now you're going defense. Now with you got the corner out of Oregon or out of Cal Williams. I have him at 74, and then I have wide receiver out of Washington Bolton at 109. And I think that they're going because they didn't get the wide receiver at 9. I think they're going to address that maybe in the first 4 rounds. They're going to go out and find a wide receiver. That's really the only offensive position, obviously tackle, but that I think is they're going to go ahead and look and they're going to address the wide receiver position. So the Chiefs are going to definitely address obviously the pass rush and get another defensive lineman to help Chris Jones, whether that's the first pick at 9 or whether that's at 29 or whether that falls down into multiple picks in the second round and then in the third round. I don't know, but my perfect draft is they go out and they find a splash player, a guy that's going to come in, a Ruben Bain, a wide receiver like Tate or somebody like that who's going to make a big splash early, and then they have to solidify that offensive line. Whether it's a second round, you can get a pretty good offensive lineman at 40. So,
my dream scenario, Tim, since you asked, I'll share it with you. My dream scenario for the Chiefs is one to trade down a couple of picks,
absolutely,
to like the Dolphins or the Cowboys, and get like another third round pick in the in the deal.
I'm with you.
And then at that point, get Jordan Tyson.
Okay.
Right? The explosive wide receiver.
Right.
Then at 29, Zion Young. I'm hoping that the interviews went well and he's mature and not a jackass because I think he is definitively. I think regardless of the interviews, I think he's definitely going in the first round. I will say that. In fact, I don't think he'll be there at 29. But again, this is our dream scenario. So 29, they get Zion Young. 40, I too like Caleb Banks, and I hope his foot's healthy. 74, I take Markel Brown. I think the other offensive tackle at Miami, who is a living, breathing house.
Yeah, he's a big
of a man.
Dude. Yep, absolutely.
Listed at 6'9" and a quarter, 346 pounds. With arm length, what was the arm length on him? 36
70
and 3/8.
inches.
Yes, he's literally
Go gadget arms.
He's Stretch Armstrong. 36 and 3/8 inch arms. So I'm gonna put him at. He's gonna be there for right tackle. By the way, there are people saying he's going in the 4th or 5th. I think he'll definitely go before the end of the 3rd, and then and that's one of the thirds I either had or picked up. 74, and I had 75 like it was with the Dolphins. And I take Darrell Jackson, defensive tackle from Florida State, who I also think might go earlier than they're saying.
Yeah.
6'5",
big dude.
6'5 and a half, 300 and I see here 15, but I've seen him at like 327. Ran a 4.82, has 10-inch hands, only 31.5-inch arms. So the arms are a little. No, I'm sorry, 35.25-inch arms.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, I need to.
He would be a T-Rex.
My damn glasses prescription.
I mean,
is not
he's
strong enough.
6'5" with 31-inch arms.
Yeah, he's 6'5 and a half with 35-inch arms.
Yeah.
So long arms. So you know basically what I've done? I took Tyson, and I took Zion Young, who's 6'6" at edge, and then I took the three biggest
dudes.
M blankers I could find.
Chiefs need some size. They obviously need some guys that can get some push on the defensive line.
And then we need the offensive and defensive line coach to do their job.
Yep, develop these kids.
Yeah.
You know, to protect and to kind of back up my guy Andy. I know he's took a lot of flack over there, but he's developed a couple good young offensive linemen.
He absolutely has. I think also, in defense of him, Andy Reid needs to change the offense.
Yeah.
Like, don't draft 3 road graders and then play finesse football all the time.
Absolutely.
Let the big boys eat.
By the way, in Jordan Reed's final
Yes,
mock,
we got it. Procter and Gamble.
Yes,
got
yes.
it.
No, I was the other one.
Procter and Gamble.
In Jordan Reed's final mock, he asked Darrell Jackson to the Chiefs at 74.
There you go.
So,
see, I'm nailing it.
I think we
Great
talked
mindset
about
alike.
that a couple weeks ago too. That Jackson was a guy that we all had interest in. Too.
But he has Jeremy Bernard, wideout Alabama, going to.
But I'm with you. I mean, I think this is a perfect opportunity for the Chiefs. The Cowboys are getting a little bit. They're sniffing around to move up. The Vikings are sniffing around to move up. There are some teams that are out there that Miami, I think, is a team that's sniffing around a little bit. I think you trade that pick. I think you can get the guys that you want at a 12 or a 13 or a 14 or a 17 or a 19. I think with the positions they like, there are some guys there that they can get. There will be quality football players, and then pick up another draft pick, another lottery ticket to maybe hit on.
If you are having problems with the drains, with any kind of plumbing problems, the one to know is The Plumbing Pro. Find them online at theplumbingpro.com. You're in the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tim Grunhardt's here. He's brought to you by our friends at The Plumbing Pro. If you've got any kind of plumbing problem, no matter how big, no matter how small, the one to know is The Plumbing Pro. Don't throw away your whole Saturday going back and forth to the hardware store trying to fix it yourself when they can come in quickly, efficiently fix it for you. It's The Plumbing Pro. The ones to know. Find them online at theplumbingpro.com. Tim.
So you ready for another draft?
Yes. I'm always ready for the draft. I love the draft.
Yeah, it's a great 4 days.
Yeah, I love the draft. And, I think I'm quite optimistic the Chiefs are going to do pretty good.
I do too. I think that they're going to have a good draft. I think they need to have a good draft. A little bit like the 2017 draft, the 21 draft, where they brought in some guys that really helped right away. They got a little bit younger. And, guys, the other thing is it's a little bit, as far as salary cap wise, it's a nice little break for the salary cap. You got some young guys on rookie contracts that are playing out there for you. And the Chiefs need that.
You cannot succeed without having quality players that are on that rookie deal. I mean, it's the only way to do it. And they need just like in 22, they needed a good draft, and they had a good draft, and it came through. And so they're in the same situation here. They just need to come through with a good draft. I think they need to get 4 starters out of this draft. They don't necessarily all 4 have to start right away. Probably 2 of them do.
Yeah, 2 of them do.
But they need to get some starters, no doubt. Tim, enjoy the draft. We'll talk about it next week.
Sounds good.
There he goes. Tim Grunhardt, Football Insider, life coach.
All right, who scored the game-winning run the last time the Royals had a walk-off wild pitch? Before last night, of course. Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Fourth quarter of the program begins right now as we finish strong here on a Wednesday. We are now just over 24 hours away from the NFL draft coming up. We're going to talk about that with Mike Sando, our NFL insider, will join us here shortly. Brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing, a big sponsor for our draft coverage as well. Easton Roofing. We want to give you the things you need to know first. That's important stuff. The things you need to know.
You need to know them.
Brought to you by our friends at Hen House. You can check out all their great savings right now at henhouse.com. Make sure you got that loyalty card. Remember, the only place you can get USDA Choice Certified Hereford Beef is at your neighborhood Hen House. Best tasting, freshest chicken around, raised in Ozark Mountain Country. That's at Hen House as well. Your neighborhood Hen House, more than 100 years serving Kansas City, serving me and my family my entire life, serving you right now. Employee-owned, 100%, teammate-owned. Find out all the specials right now at henhouse.com. Let's hear from John Sherman. The Royals announcing today that they will go into basically the location where the Crown Center headquarters are. That will be torn down. The building will go a little bit south of where Crown Center is. John Sherman said it took a while to get where they finally landed.
It's been said that patience is the calm acceptance that things can happen in a different order than what you had in mind. You know, it'd be real easy for me today to say this is how we drew it up. But they're never how you draw it up, right? There's lots of ways to say it. There's no straight line between point A and point B. Patience has given us an outcome that we could never have imagined. There's no script for what we're sharing with you today, no playbook, no blueprint, no roadmap. Today is a narrative of community, of trust, of courage and vision, and of passion for doing something special for the city we love. So, as we share the attributes of a deal that will change our city and our core for generations, allow me to share some things that I want you to know at the start. First, the Kansas City Royals are staying in the state of Missouri.
And that's, the staying in Kansas City. I think that's the biggest part for a lot of us, but they did ultimately stay in Kansas City, Missouri. I think where John Sherman wanted them all along. That's what he stated when they started out, that they would be looking for different places in Kansas City, Missouri. He mentioned, went to a lot of places. They had some offers on the Kansas side. They had offers on north of the river, but ultimately they end up staying in Kansas City, Missouri. And still details to be worked out. We didn't get any final drawings, but Sherman did talk about the scope of the project.
This is an 85-acre site. Our plan is to make Washington Square Park a part of an expanded district. There could be some real estate south of Pershing as well, but this would be a minimum 85 acres, which would be, I think the largest sports-anchored development in downtown. It's certainly in Major League Baseball, and it would be our objective to bring energy and vibrancy to the neighborhood, not just the 81 days a year, but the 365 days a year. Energy, vibrance, and economic activity. Don alluded to a master plan that we'll work on soon here, but there's just a lot of opportunity here.
Could be, again, to me, the one glaring thing that was not answered today is where is all this development, this ballpark district, that's going to generate the revenue. Now, we just had on Mayor Lucas at the end of the 3 o'clock hour. It's part of the 3 o'clock podcast, right?
The Hour 2 podcast.
The Hour 2, which is 3 o'clock.
Yes, yeah, you're right. My
but
fault.
Probably, is that how it's listed, Hour 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a better way to put it. The Hour 2 podcast at 810WHB.com and on that 810 app. I know you all have, so go ahead and use it. If you didn't hear Mayor Lucas with us, because we brought that subject up with him, one of the things he said was there's the existing buildings that can be part of the project as well. Well, first of all, I don't think you're selling, if just gobs of money was flowing in to all things Crown Center, they wouldn't be building a ballpark here. Can we just agree on that?
Yes.
Todd said it a couple times that, Crown Center probably needs a facelift. It's been a great location.
Not much has changed in 30 years.
Yeah, great location with a lot of different venues for a lot of different things that all take place there. I have many, many fond memories. I don't live anywhere near it, but I have many fond memories of being down around Crown
very
Center.
Fresh for 20 years.
But probably needs an overhaul. Yeah. So, I'm intrigued. He said south of Pershing, which kind of runs west to east or east to west, but it curves. If you go west to east, it curves south. So I'm assuming he's talking about this area
becomes
north.
Gillum. Yeah.
These buildings north where we thought maybe would be the ballpark. That maybe that's going to be what it is. Yeah.
Staggered buildings there.
Governor Mike Kehoe from Missouri was there. He was asked how much the state will invest.
Well, as you heard Mr. Sherman say that the total investment is $3 billion. So Kansas City, the city, and the state's investment will be roughly a third of that-ish. But we're really proud of the investment that has realized. As I said all the time, you heard me say today, this has got to be a good return on investment for taxpayers. If the Royals left, you get nothing. So using the Show Me States Investment Act, we think help keep the team here, or as I say, a business with thousands of employees, and ensure Kansas City's future in the downtown.
You don't have a dollar figure for the...
Well, we said all along that the estimate on the dollar figure of the taxes they produce is somewhere in a $15 to $17 million a year range, is what that will work on.
Who's on the hook if the stadium project doesn't develop enough revenue to pay back the state's commitment?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have clawbacks in this contract with the Show Me State Investment Act. We've learned from other economic development opportunities across the state and across the nation to make sure that we protect the taxpayers. So there are clawbacks involved that the team would be responsible for should something not go right.
Okay, so it sounds like the team is on the hook largely, I don't know if exclusively, but largely for the overrun. So that's something to keep in mind there.
He used the term protect the taxpayers.
Yeah, and that's good. He said $3 billion. I heard John Sherman quote $1.9 billion. We could get
Are they
some.
talking about the same
exactly
thing, or
is it some land
what's
purchase?
included?
We're hearing a number of figures. So a couple of things that I think we still need to figure out. All right, John Sherman had a little fun when he started off his portion of the presentation at the expense of one J.J. Piccolo.
By the way, this is the first day I've seen JJ smile in about a week,
It didn't last long.
No, they lose 8-6 today. Do the Royals, but it's been a tough week, no doubt. But
no question,
they were coming off a win then. Not coming off a win now.
One note: Michael Garcia left today's game with a right elbow soreness. They'll have that looked at, so we'll know something by sometime tonight or by tomorrow.
Yes, and don't like hearing that.
No.
Was already
they
rough.
Are off tomorrow.
Already rough sledding for your Kansas City Royals. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some more football. Our NFL insider, Mike Sando, you know him, you love him, from The Athletic. He joins us next.